Hello, everybody, and welcome to GKR NA 2025. I am your host, Panicast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl. How are you doing today, Duncan?
I'm doing great, Panda. Thanks for having me, man. I'm definitely looking forward to getting into some North America action, man. Definitely excited to get into our league play today. We got day one, we've got gem grab, but we've got 6 banger matchups coming up. I'm super excited to get into it, Panda. Thank you so much for having me again.
No problem. Yes, we have 6 matches today. We're gonna have 6 match days for the GKR Phase 2 right now. It's gonna be a round robin. We have an awesome ensemble of teams. We're going to be split up into different groups, and we're going to have round robins between each of these groups. But ultimately, the top 8 teams move on to the playoff stage in a double elimination style tournament at that point. But in these 6 match days of 36 matches that we're going to be going through with you, we hope to find the best teams in each of these groups. And first up on the docket is going to be Space Station Gaming versus LC Esports.
Yep, that's definitely one I've got my finger marked on. I'm looking forward to watching Space Station, one of my personal favorite teams, but they've been doing their thing so far this year. Haven't been able to take home any monthly finals, but they've got a great roster. They've got great synergy. And with Ducky manning the drafts for them now, I think they have a ton of potential to really make some waves in the second half of this BSC season. LSC Esports is not going to be an easy competition, though. Definitely one of the best teams out of Mexico. I think that they could definitely give Space Station a run for their money. So just similar to all these matchups we're going to see today, I don't think that we're going to have any clear favorites or any clear domination from any of these teams. Everyone here can fight, and I think that we are definitely looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and on this first match day, it's going to be gem grab. So all of the 6 matches are going to have Hard Rock Mine, Double Swoosh, and Last Stop. So you're going to see how all these different teams attack the same maps with different strategies, and hopefully with better results than their opponents here. First up, obviously, we have Space Station against LOC. Then we have Gadget Spam versus FA, Stamina Esports versus Mori Gaming, Crumbs versus Motomami's FA, Pioneers versus 919, and finally, rounding it out, is going to be Tribe Gaming versus Code OG.
Yep, that one is definitely going to be a banger as well. 2 teams that a lot of people know a lot about, but what I'm looking forward is to seeing how some of these teams that typically don't qualify for the monthly finals every single month, some teams that you guys might not be as familiar with at home, how they're going to perform on a bigger stage here today. We've got a lot of teams that I personally haven't seen too much competitive gameplay out of, but I know a lot of these players. I think that they're definitely ready to step up to the plate today. It's going to be a big stage, but the big stage brings out the best competition, the best competitors. So I'm looking forward to seeing what some of these maybe underrated teams can bring to the table for us, man.
Yeah, for sure. And just talking about SSG, they're no strangers to competitive. We've seen Bobby in the whole scene from 2018 before competitive was even a thing. They're obviously some of the best people in esports. Spatial Gaming have had a relatively lackluster year, though, for all the reputation that they hold. But this, is a new tournament and a new opportunity for them to live up to that Space Station hype. LC Esports have recently acquired this roster after releasing their EMEA roster. While getting to this point in this tournament is in itself something to boast about, they have their work cut out for them against, the astronauts.
Definitely. I think that most of the people watching at home would probably agree that SSG is going to be the favorite going into this game. But like I said, there's going to be some underrated players that maybe you haven't seen before that could definitely make a name for themselves in our first couple days of league play here. So looking forward to see if LLC can kind of step up to the plate, give Space Station a run for their money. But overall, I'm sure similarly to a lot of you at home, we're expecting big things from Space Station. And that definitely starts today with our first match of Gem Grab.
Bro is gonna be glazing Space Station today. I expect glaze. Oh wow, I expect some glaze for Gadget Spam as well, since you are a big Patchy fan. But first up on the docket is Space Station versus LLC, and the map cycle we mentioned were Hard Rock, Mine, Double Swoosh, and Last Stop. But just talking about the meta, a lot of things have recently changed, right? We've got some new hypercharges, some balance changes, which happened, I guess, 2 weeks ago. But the hypercharges just throw a lot of the meta into chaos, and there are lots of questions that need to be asked, but I feel like we're gonna get some of those answers today, Duncan.
Definitely. I think that a lot of the new hypercharges do kind of lend themselves to gem grab very well, especially Gus. He's always been a pretty solid gem carrier and a mid in gem grab. And I think that with the addition of his hypercharge, he's going to be able to play a little bit more aggressive. I could see him being one of the more common picks throughout this. Another one that I think we need to keep our eye out for is Lily. We've seen her a lot in our OWN casting with the EU region,
Oh yeah.
but I think that Lily is definitely one of those aggressive picks that can really make or break a comp. She can definitely make a game-winning play, walk away scot-free with all the gems when you least expect it. Also, Amber, I think, is going to be a solid lane option with that new hypercharge. We've seen it get team wipe after team wipe in EMEA, so I definitely think that we could see a little bit of Amber action, maybe a
Mhm.
little bit of Griff action since we were deprived of that this morning, Panda. But looking forward to seeing how these players are going to adapt to the new meta. Lots of brawler changes, lots of balance changes, lots of new hypercharges. It's definitely a lot to keep your finger on the pulse of.
Yeah, and I think we've been talking. I mean, we've been casting a lot of any tournaments lately, right? So we've got a kind of our fingers on the pulse of what the meta is for EMEA, but different regions have different flavors of what they want. And you did mention that we didn't see enough of Griff, we didn't see enough of Amber, but when we did see Amber being brought out, she was so impactful in the matches, so centralizing in terms of the control that she presented on the map. So I am interested in seeing how NA decides to disagree with EMEA in their drafting process, because obviously NA and EMEA, oil and water, they don't really mix. They have different ideas of what they want to bring to the table, right?
Yep, that's one of my favorite things about NA. Also, apart from just being from there and having a little soft spot, I feel like they always are the players that are the most willing to swing outside of the box. They kind of pick some of these crazy brawlers in situations that you don't expect. Doesn't always work out, but when it does, cinema, Panda. I'm looking forward to seeing what type of freaky picks we're going to get today.
Indeed. I mean, NA may not have the best showings in terms of the international stage, but they have the biggest personalities. They have a lot of charisma, and as a result, I feel like NA has a lot of the diehard fans, which other regions would die to have. So I think that, you know, the fan base here is quite tight.
Definitely. And I love to be a part of it, man. Hope you guys at home are enjoying being a part of it too. But it's a good time to be an NA fan, man. GKR is live. We are going to have a great time throughout the next month or two. So hopefully you guys are as excited as me. But man, I cannot wait to get into these games.
Indeed. And just to reiterate to the people who are just joining us, GKR, we have a lot of teams participating in this tournament here. We are in the league phase right now, which is a round robin type league phase. We have teams broken up into three groups of four, and we need to find out who are the top 8 teams are in this tournament. Along with that, we have 6 match days to do so, and each of the match days are going to have one game mode being played here. And we're going to be going into our draft on Hard Rock Mine. We have our bands. They're going to be Lily, Lumi, Kenji, 8-Bit, Chester, and Hank. First pick for LC Esports.
Yep, so we got LLC Esports picking first. Definitely a lot of the best aggressive brawlers in the game, being Kenji, Lily, and Hank are all banned out. So it makes a lot of sense as far as the bans go. Lumi, even with a little bit of a nerf, is still going to be a bona fide top 5 brawler. I would argue top 3 brawler in the game. She's definitely still pretty menacing. But we are going to see the Gray come out with the first pick. Not too surprised to see that, especially on a map like Hard Rock Mine. A lot of pro teams will go with that Gray in the mid and just try to get the teleporter set up so that they can teleport their teammates into an aggressive position to be able to make some of those plays. It does pair very well with the Hank, so maybe a little unfortunate for LLC Esports that the Hank is banned out right here. But there are plenty of other tanks that you'll be able to pair with that. Jackie comes to mind, Buzz comes to mind. So definitely expecting a little bit more aggression from LLC. We see SSG kind of thinking along that same line. They expect LLC to get another tank. So what do they grab? They get the Lu, an absolute hard tank counter. With that hypercharge, he's going to be able to make a huge impact in the game as well. So I think 2 pretty solid mid options from both teams coming off the board right here. Curious to see who SSG is going to pair the Lu with. And it looks like we're going to get our answer there. The Lu's going to be paired up with a Buster, so they get one of the better tanks in the game. I think as far as tanks go, Buster is probably the most versatile. Maybe he's not always going to be able to go for the craziest plays of all time, but he gets his super for free, can be super impactful. He also synergizes really well with Gray, so I like that SSG's kind of taken that out of the picture right here. Feel like it would have been a little bit menacing if they had to go into the Buster, but they are going to actually take a Jackie, which is a pretty solid Buster counter. I really like what LSC's cooking here so far, Panda.
Yeah, I think that they have a nice way to get into the mid and get out if they need to with the gray. In fact, with the Jackie just adds a little bit more zest to it, but they have to figure out how to really deal with that Lou. On the other side, the Lou Buster combination seems a little scary, honestly, to face off against. And we still have Max available. We still have something like a Finks available. Juju's going to be brought out here for LLC Esports, and a little bit of an atypical pick, but I feel like it does have a little bit of range. And Jackie's going to be playing defensive for picking up the slack that Juju is obviously not going to be able to exert as much influence in the near area, but Jackie picks up that slack for her.
Yeah, I think Juju is definitely the best thrower on this map. I mean, there's a lot of grass for her to get that extra range. She's going to be able to use that invisibility to make some sneaky plays, but overall, just a pretty safe pick overall. I'm not surprised to see SSG going a little bit more aggressive, considering they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal with the Juju pick. They're going to go double tank, so they've got one of the best tank counters paired up with a Buster, paired up with a Buzz. It's going to be pretty difficult for LLC to kind of take some of that fire away from their gem carrier, considering the amount of aggression we're seeing on the side of SSG. But if there's any tank that does decently well into Buster and Buzz, it would be Jackie. So I definitely think that LLC's kind of got their bases covered as far as the tank v tank matchup goes. It's just going to be kind of a story of if they're going to be able to protect their gem carrier more or less. But we are getting straight into game number 1, guys. We are going to have SSG in blue. LOC is going to be in red. We see Kirito going up the left side right now. Sans is going to be manning that lane, trying to get the Jackie out of his situation, but that is not going to go very well. Kirito is going to come out on top of that. Bobby does gadget into Roladu, though. That's going to be a kill on the gem carrier. Obviously not any gems to speak of as of this moment, but Kirito is just on an absolute tear in Space Station spawn right now. Chino's going to be going back to try to clean that up, but it looks like no kill was found. So throughout the beginning of the game, we see the Jackie is definitely making its impact known, but either way, SSG is going to be on top of the gems right now, Panda.
Yeah, great spot for SSG there. Nice pull coming in from Roladu. Finds a kill on Bobby. That's huge. Ooh, big pull from Kirito, but he's not going to be able to find the kill there. Though Squeezy picks up the slack. And that was almost a scary situation for SSG to be in that scenario.
Still looking a little bit scary right there. Bobby does a great job timing the super in there to go through the Grugi, be able to kill both of them. They're going to be able to deal with Kirito as well, but Roladu's going in on Bobby, going to be able to secure the kill. And that teleporter set up in a pretty decent spot for what he wants to do with the Jackie. That's a crazy pull from Roladu, not able to capitalize on Chino. He's going to survive with those 7 gems. So we see LOC's putting up a good fight, but throughout all of this, we still see SSG on top of the gems. Bobby barely going to be able to walk away with his life right there. Sans pushing up pretty aggressive, but right now it just seems like a matter of time. SSG only needs 2 more gems in the hand to be able to walk away with this one.
Ooh, wow. Kills coming in thick and fast here. It's still going to be SSG in a pretty decent spot here, but control on the side of LSE Esports. Now Bobby using his hypercharge here. He gets a stun off into Kirito. That is a great dispatch. On the left-hand side, though, he's trying to get something onto Roladu. Not able to do so. Chino getting the stun off on his Squeezy. He gets the kill as well with his teammate Bobby picking up the 10th gem. That's going to give countdown to SSG. I think that they can't afford to basically hide in the back lines here because they do have enough time to ensure that they don't get taken advantage of. There is a stun by Bobby. You can use it here. If Roladu goes in, he goes for it, and that is going to be enough for SSG Esports to take the first game.
Yep, that was well played by Bobby to pick up that gem to start the countdown before they had enough time to get the natural reset from the gem mine. Exactly what you were saying there, Panda, as well as saving his stun because he knew that Roladu was going to have to make a play at some point. He waited for the perfect moment, and that was just textbook execution from SSG right there. Although Kirito was able to make a huge impact in the beginning of the game, it just never really translated to more gems in the hand of LLC. So as we get into game number 2, definitely going to be watching Kirito to see how the beginning of his game goes. It looks like they're getting off to a similar start, though, with him kind of menacing up this left side. All 3 members of SSG are going to be trying to combine on that kill. They do eventually get away with it, but Squeezy is going to be making a sneaky play right there, and that's going to be the first 4 gems of the game falling into the hands of LLC.
That was actually huge from Squeezy, ensuring that LLC get those gems and kind of securing their position for them. Now, though, we have all of SSG back on the mid here. They get the stun off on a Kirito, get the kill as well, and control now firmly rested for SSG.
Yep, Carito does seem like the player to watch for the side of LSC right now. All the pressure that they've got so far has been because of him being able to walk into the spawn right there. We do see a Grigri going down, as well as some invisibility from Squeezy, maybe looking to make a similar sneaky play to the one that stole the gems the first time, but the Gray pull with the Jackie pull, Roladu and Kirito combining for a crazy play, and just like that, we have LSC Esports with a countdown right there. Kirito teleports out as well, Roladu cleans up Sands, and it looks like we're going to be tying up at 1-1 right here, Panda.
That was a little bit unexpected, but the combination of Kirito and Roladu together shut them down was kind of crazy, and I think that's what essentially got them the dub. We are tied at 1 apiece. We're gonna go to game number 3, but this is a best of 3. So the first set win is almost a death sentence for the other team. So obviously we're gonna see SSG trying to ensure that they get the first set, but LC Esports looking fierce right now with their response.
Definitely. I like the comp a lot. They've got the Jackie pulls, they've got the Gray pulls, and basically, if you've played Gem Grab before, you know that getting pulled is one of the worst things that can happen to you. So definitely like the synergy they've got going on. Kirito, once again, is going to be moving up the left side, trying to make some pressure in the back of the SSG spawn right here. Bobby's going to be circling his attention back over to that. As Sands gets pulled, that's going to be a kill for the side of LLC right here. And it looks like Kirito might be able to kill Chino again. And similarly to game number 2, we're going to see Roladu walking out of here with 5 gems to start the game. Squeezy's going in Viz, trying to make something happen here, but Bobby's got the stun. He gets pulled by Kirito, though, and Kirito is kind of carrying this game.
It is kind of crazy how much of pressure LSC Esports have on this SSG side. You're just seeing them going in, trying to suicide to get some kind of play happening, but it isn't really working out for them. Chirito going in for Bobby, gets a kill as well, just giving all the room in the world for his Gray to just get all the gems and move out unabated.
Yeah, they finally dealt with Kirito in the spawn, but it might be a little bit too little too late. The loose super is buying some time, but we're going to see Roladu pick up that 9th gem right there. They only need 1 more. He hits a fantastic hook as well. Kirito is going to be able to clean that up. And SSG is looking like they're in a very, very tough position right here. Squeezy does go down to Sands, but Kirito is going to trade that kill out. And we do see Roladu sitting on 10 gems. That is going to be the man to kill, but Bobby misses his hook. And that might be all she wrote for this one, Panda. It looks like we're going to see a little bit of an upset in game number 1 so far.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. The first set already going the way of LSC Esports today. And honestly, they look like they're up to the task. They do not look like they're shying away from the competition. And feels like they're thriving under the pressure.
Yeah, they are definitely not scared of the competition right here. Look at them go, man. So inspirational. But that was a fantastic game, man. I do think that SSG did not have the greatest draft of all time right there. I don't like going double tanks into Jackie when Jackie kind of does pretty well into both of those tanks. And I feel like that's kind of the lesson that SSG learned the hard way right there. Buster really couldn't do a whole lot about Jackie. Buzz can get the stun off, but even with the counter crush, it's still going to take a lot of damage. And then the Lu just was never really able to get significant damage onto the Jackie. The Jackie just caused so much pressure right there. Very well played in the draft and in the gameplay from LLC Esports. And they're going to take a sneaky set 1 victory, already putting a SSG on a match point almost.
That was that was a little crazy. I just love the way you had Roladu just being, I don't know, kind of crazy, just getting his portals in, just having all the room in the world because of Kirito. And that Jackie shouldn't have had that much of a presence in that map. But I feel like once they got the first kill, it just seemed like I was gonna say SCM. It feels like SSG were completely out of it. Like they were pushed out of the spawn, and that was it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how they did so well in game number 1, because it had a similar start, but they were just able to group together and get the Jackie out of their spawn a little bit quicker. But when you go down 5-0 to a team with a Gray portal up already, it's going to be a tough comeback. That's what SSG found out in set number 1. But we're getting into double swoosh now for our second set. This is a must win for SSG unless they want to start off being upset on day number 1 of league play. So we're going to see the bans come in. It's going to be Lily, Lumi, and Kenji. I believe the same 3 bans that we saw from SSG in set 1. LLC is going to ban out Buster, Maisie, and Amber. So a little surprised to see a Maisie ban, I'm not going to lie, but Amber makes a lot of sense. Buster makes a lot of sense. And once again, we see LLC first picking the Gray. I feel like it's definitely a pretty reasonable pick considering how set number 1 went, Panda.
Yeah, great. It just has so much of utility and it just keeps giving you dividends. It's just like value that keeps be getting value. Once you get those portals up, you can get into the back lines of the other team or just, just to get to your own gems on the on the gem line. So I like this great pick. I feel like it's a very good safe first pick. And SSG opt for the Terra. I haven't seen Terra being brought out as much, but considering the fact that Amber has been banned out, I feel like that's probably a good shout here.
It's a pretty solid map for Tara. I mean, she's got with the speed gear, she can definitely be pretty quick. You can definitely catch people lacking once you finally do get that pull. But overall, I think that a lot of the reason they went Tara is because of the existence of the pets. It does counter out the Gray pretty well. Going to be hard for any single shot brawlers, especially a Gray, to be able to blast through those Tara pets. So maybe that's kind of what they're going for. They want a little bit of a game-changing super that can kind of get them a W if the beginning of the game doesn't go well like we saw in set 1. They pair it with a Chester 2, probably the best tank counter in the game. So definitely expecting a little bit more aggression from the side of LLC. And rather than going tanks that get countered by tanks, they're deciding to go with the anti-tank options a little bit harder here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to round out your options here, right? You're going to go up against Gray. You have to expect that a tank's going to be there for some pickup duty. Hank the tank going to be if fulfilling that scenario and that role there. So not surprising to see that. It's going to be interesting to see what SSG decide to bring out to ensure that the Hank doesn't get as much value. I have to mention that Jae Young hasn't been picked up. Neither has Max, and both these support brawlers are almost invaluable in the current day and the current meta. So wouldn't be surprised to see either of them being picked up. But LC Esports have this last pick here.
Yep, I like the Hank Gray synergy quite a fair
What?
amount. The ability to teleport through the portal without popping your bubble and then just pop out with a full bubble in somebody's face can be pretty menacing, but they're going to pair it with a Mr. P. Not really the pick I was expecting. I mean, he's got like a good amount of versatility, and the fact that SSG can at most go with one tank makes it a little bit of a safer pick. He's definitely a pretty decent scouting brawler, which is I kind of think what they're going for with this pick. But overall, not really my favorite. I feel like they could have probably pulled out something better. And that does kind of leave the door open for something like what we're seeing right here. SSG is going to last pick the Mortis here. And although the Hank with Super is going to be pretty much impossible for a Mortis to kill, Mr. P and Gray are kind of free eats. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what the Mortis has up their sleeve here. I think that both of these comps are pretty solid, but I'm not too sure how I feel about that Mr. P 5th pick. We'll have to see how that works out as we take a look at Bobby before we get into the game here.
Yeah, I don't know about that Mr. P, but I feel like it seems like a really good game for SSG's Mortis, right? But they need to ensure that they don't get cocky. I feel like a lot of times they get a little bit too much in the weeds and they forget about the mission at hand. And I feel like, SSG need to be more conservative about how they approach this, as already Sans gets taken down, but Bobby's able to find a kill onto Kirito on this left-hand side. It is game number 1 of the second set. LSC took the first one, Duncan.
Yep, I think that Sans is going to spend most of the beginning of this game trying to charge his hypercharge, but dealt very well with by Squeezy getting a little bit of assistance right there. We see Chino does have his Tara pull online though. Bobby hits a great stun there too as well to be able to kill Kirito without taking any damage there. So well played to Bobby on the Chester. Definitely keeping my eyes on Chino here. He does have pull, but Squeezy has a teleport on hand. So might not want to go for the gem carrier. Maybe wants to pull the Hank just to kind of cycle it a bit more. And that is what we're going to see there. Sans is finally starting to cook a little bit, getting a little bit of cycling going here. Chino takes down the porters, but Rolladoo is pushing up on the right side. Probably going to be dealt with by Sans, but he is going to have to use his bats to do so. So we are seeing a pretty even jump count so far. Bobby sitting on 5, Squeezy sitting on 4. But definitely looking to see where Chino's at, what his super is looking like. But we do see when Sans respawns, he's going to have a hypercharge ready to go.
Oh no, Bobby gets taken down. That is huge. Oh, there's a nice gravity. Kirito is surely going down. He gets taken down. And that is the countdown reset. Gotta say, I like the way Sans has been approaching his Mortis here. He goes in onto... Ooh! Hypercharge here. He gets one set of bats off, not able to get the second one. Gets a lot of shots off on a Kirito, but not able to finish him off. Gets his team enough room to pick up gems, though.
Yep, that was decent enough value from Sans. I'm sure he would have loved to have that second super back, but can't hit them all. That's what he's found out there. But he's going to get hooked through the wall right there. The bats are back in play, though. He cycles them back. Squeezy has no choice but to retreat here. Chino has his pull as well, and we are sitting at 8 gems apiece right here. But SSG has better mid control. These Mortis bats are going absolutely crazy right here. He's bullying the Mr. P in the spawn. Kirito is going to dodge out of that pull right there, and it's going to be Bobby with the hypercharge. Missed because of the gray portal right there. We see 10 gems on the side of LOC, still definitely resettable, but they're going to have to make their play pretty soon here. Sands is trying to clear out some space.
No, right now they need to get the kill onto one of the members of LSC Esports. Nice gravity coming in. Can they get the kill? No,
Ooh.
reset. And that is going to be LSC Esports now on match point against SSG.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby missing that hypercharge, as much as I hate to say it, that was definitely a game-losing play right there. It's unfortunate. They needed to keep them off of that 10th gem, but it didn't end up happening. The gray portals came in so clutch for LLC in last set and in this set. I feel like SSG might want to start considering banning that gray out of here, but we're getting into match point here for LLC, something that we did not see coming right here. The first gray hook of the game is missed, but Chino's getting super wiggly on this left-hand side. Stans is going to get straight to cycling those bats, cycling that hypercharge. We are going to see a little bit of a gem lead on the side of SSG here, but as we saw in last game, anything can happen as we keep on going into this game.
Indeed. Ooh, Sans going in once more, but the bats do not get cycled here. That's unfortunate for him. He still does have it, though, so it's not going to be too bad here. Nice pull coming in from Squeezy, not able to connect that last shot there. Now Sans going in with his super onto Rolladoo to be able to find some value. Nope, he doesn't use his super at all. Keeps it saved here, but Kirito gets a kill on the Chino, and that is going to give enough room for him to be a big menace on the left-hand side. Sans tries to go in, gets supered out of existence by Kirito.
That's a tall task for Immortus to be able to take down a Hank with super. Definitely not the best matchup of all time. We see Kirito has just been utilizing these gray teleporters, just cycling through them and then just popping back out with a full bubble. But Sans is making a push. Not going to be able to take any gems, but he does buy a little bit of time for SSG to make a play in the middle of the map. Kirito is pressing Bobby, though, with all the gems back here. He does have 2 on his head, so if he does die back here, it might be a little bit of a tricky situation. Chino's trying to deal with Squeezy, but he's likely going to have to retreat. It looks like Hank was dealt with, though, but Sans is going to be sitting on 3 gems. Not ideal for SSG. He does have Hypercharge, though. What's he going to do with it?
Oh, he goes in aggressively. He tries to find one more after getting 1 kill. Is able to get out alive with just 3 gems to his name. That's going to be the 9th gem picked up by SSG. LC Esports still have a way forward here. They are on match point, so they can afford to lose this one. Obviously, they don't want to, though.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Sans has to survive as a Mortis. It's not going to be the easiest job. He would love to go in and cause some aggression to clear out a little bit of space, but Chino hits a pull that kind of gets the same thing accomplished. Sans hits his bats for a little bit of heal, and the bubble is not enough to take out Sans. Well played by Kirito to make it close right there, but SSG, with their backs against the wall, is going to bounce back. It's going to be 1-1 on double swoosh right here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how back and forth it is. I have to say, Sans has been popping off when he's got his hypercharge at least, so that is very important for SSG's prowess and success. But we are still on match point for LSC Esports, and SSG are 1 game out of losing this one.
Yeah, this is a huge game for SSG, huge game for LLC as well, but we are going to see the beginning of the game going kind of similarly. Kirito did pick up a gem, which probably isn't going to be ideal, but he goes down quite quickly. Sans is going to be getting a ton of value right there. Very, very likely close to his first set of bats for the game, but as we see right now, the gems are 4-1 in the favor of SSG. Squeezy's got his ideal portal set up, so Kirito is going to be expected to be utilizing that for the rest of the game, but Sans cleans up right there. He's got bats sitting in the back of the spawn. Kirito pops in with his bubble, gonna get some good damage onto Bobby, but not gonna be able to result in the kill for now. Not sure where Chino's at, but he's got to be somewhat close to a Tara pole as well. That definitely could be very impactful. Sans is moving up with his bats, though, and he lets them rip. Not really going to get too much value out of there, but he does take out the porters.
That actually is quite huge for them, as Kirito has been a menace on this left-hand side, while Sans is doing the same job on the other side. His teammates are getting lambasted. His big hypercharge being popped by Squeezy. Gets the kill, but there's a kill on the other side on Kirito. That's huge for Bobby, and that is going to allow them to be in a more commanding and domineering position. On the right-hand side, though, Rolladoo is going to go up against Sans, and I think Sans is ready for that fight. He's going to go in, gets taken out, has his hypercharge, doesn't have his super, but hypercharge turret being given to Mr. P, so that means they're going to get so much more value LSC Esports from now on.
Yeah, Chino's got his hypercharge though too, and it looks like he's going for the play here. He does in fact get both of them. That's going to be Squeezy going down with the gem. So now we have Hank gem carrier with the Mortis hypercharge, somehow going to be able to survive a Hank super. Not expecting him to be able to get away with those gems, but either way, he bought enough time for Bobby, who sets up his zone on the portal right there. Squeezy's trying to make something happen, but it looks like Sans should be able to distract enough to be able to tie us up at 1 set apiece. Well played by SSG with their back against the wall. They take 2 games in a row on double swoosh. We're going to be tied up at 1-1 going into last stop.
Dude, that was a really beautiful set to see from SSG. I felt like they were kind of out of sorts for a little bit, but Chino with his bats was able to give SSG the fighting chance. And there was also that one super from not Chino, sorry, what am I saying? Stans with his bats was giving SSG a fighting chance. And there was also Chino with the gravity. He got that double pull with the hypercharge. That was so important for them to get that dub. It was just crazy how aggressive SSG were. I think they got a little bit of a fright by how things were going so south for them so fast. So they did change up their strat going into the second set here.
Yeah, they definitely played pretty aggressive. They weren't really able to do much about the gray until we saw Chino hit that hypercharge pull that kind of sealed game number 3 right there. But overall, both teams I think are still playing very, very well. LLC is definitely putting up a very strong fight. Anybody who thought SSG was going to be able to walk all over them has been proven incorrect already. But it all comes down to this one. We've got set 3. It's going to be last stop. Both teams have kind of shown what they're capable of so far. Looking forward to seeing what we're going to see drafted. Is SSG going to give them another gray here? What do you think, Panda?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of times whenever I see Gray, it ends up winning. So I think that maybe you want to get the early pick for Gray, or you want to ban it outright if you don't get it. I feel like it's reached that point in the meta where it's so useful that you might just want to ensure that you don't have to face it if you don't have to, And then I like the fact that they banned Amber in double swoosh. Like Amber is just like one of the best brawlers in double swoosh, but with the recent hypercharges, it's even better. We're gonna go into our draft here in this third set of Last Stop, our third and final one here, and the bans are gonna be Lily, Lumi, Kenji, Max, Otis, and Amber.
Yeah, definitely some interesting bands coming out from LLC. Otis and Max are a little bit more niche picks on this map, but I do like the Otis lane a lot here. Definitely makes sense. If they really didn't want to face against the Otis, maybe they want to go a little bit more aggro. That's kind of what they're thinking. But the first pick is out, and this time it's not going to be a gray. We're going to see the Bow, though, another really broken brawler. His hypercharge is so menacing with the amount of mines you can put onto the field. Although pro players are good at dodging the mines, it still does take quite a fair bit of time. I know Bobby's got some personal beef with the Bow mines too, so maybe they're trying to get in his head that way. But either way, SSG is going to be picking up a Carl. They've got one more pick to see what they're going to do about this Bow, but it looks like they are passing on taking a mid for now. They're going to be going with the Carl and the Buzz. Makes a lot of sense to take out that Buzz, considering that Carl it does get countered pretty hard by him. Bobby showing up a rat on the screen right there, but we're going to be moving the draft back to LLC here. What are they going to pair up with the Bow?
I'm not sure, but like I feel like NA really rates Carl quite highly. I haven't seen Carl being brought out in most of the other regions. I wouldn't say specifically just NA, but I haven't seen him being brought out in most of the other regions. So I'm gonna be interested to see how that one does come out here. Stu's gonna be paired up with the both. The last pick for LLC is gonna be next, but I don't see let's see. Lily, I feel like Lily's bad. I'm gonna stop talking now.
Oh, good, man. They're going to take the Chester. Definitely makes a lot of sense there. I think he's solid enough into Carl, and he's a great counter into the Buzz. So not surprised to see the Chester be picked up here. Stu is going to be pretty solid as well. I'm kind of curious to see who they're going to have picking up the gems between the Stu and the Bow. I feel like Bow does have a little bit more range, so he might be built for these lanes a little bit better than Stu is. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see. It's all about who SSG is going to take for their mid here, though. Personally, I think that Gus would be a pretty solid option. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see here, but it's actually going to be a Squeak. So that's very interesting right there. I don't love Squeak into the Stu here, but I mean, as long as they're able to deprive Stu of his super, then everyone should have pretty decent matchups onto him. I feel like this is going to be another hectic game. I don't really know if I have a comp that I particularly love above any of the others.
Yeah, I mean, I think I prefer the LC comp a little bit more. I feel like SSG is really focuses on individual brilliance here, so I'm not sure about how this one's going to be playing out. Let's see as we go into our third and final set between SSG and LC Esports and A.
Yeah, it looks like that Buzz that we saw on the screen was in fact a Gus instead, so it makes a little bit more sense there. They have their mid in the Gus right there. We're going to see Chino fighting Rolladoo over on the left side here. Stu's getting pretty wiggly here, but Chino's just trying to get a little bit of vision. Bobby's hitting some solid shots, and Sans is going to be able to take out Kirito, actually. Very well played on the Squeak right there, but Squeak is just such an annoying lane on this map. He's really hard to push into. I'm not sure exactly which gadget he's rocking with, but it looks like it is going to be the Residue, so super obnoxious gadget choice from Sans. You got to respect it. And once again, he is kind of bullying Kirito on this right side of the map as SSG has a pretty solid gem lead so far.
So far, Roladu is gonna go up against Bobby. He's gonna be taking like the L against him in most of the interactions, except when Roladu gets the hypercharge. So he's gonna be waiting for that play to happen. But hypercharge squeak. Stance gets the super off on him. Roladu finds a kill as well. Bobby has his own hypercharge. That's something else for LC Esports to really contend with. But SSG looking very strong in this set, unlike the last one.
Yeah, Kirito is finally switching lanes here after getting killed by Sands like 3 or 4 times. He's going to have a little bit of a better time against Chino, but Chino is holding this angle quite well. He's going to be able to kill the gem carrier as well, and they're going to be able to get out of this situation with 12 gems on the head. Obviously, Chino and Bobby both need to survive for this countdown to be the last, but Sands is doing a great job keeping them pushed back. And so far, it seems like the Gus pick has been the answer that SSG was looking for, kind of bullying the bow in the mid. That's going to be a clean game number 1 for SSG. And after they were on match point like 3 games ago, they are going to be bringing LSE to match point finally.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a well-played game. I feel like the SSC that we're seeing now compared to set 1, night and day difference in terms of what is being brought to the table. It feels like they are in control of what they want, and the game plan is going according to SSG. Let's see if that pans out, or if LC Esports have figured out a way forward, which involves them taking the dub.
Yeah, well, we do see a lane switch here. After Kirito is getting bullied by the Squeak on the right side of the map, he's going to be trying his luck against Chino, still losing out as far as positioning goes, but at least he hasn't died yet. Roladu is going to go down to Sands here. Didn't even get a singular supercharged off of that, so going to be tough for the Stew. Hard stuck without a dash so far. Chino hits a fantastic fire gadget as well, so that's going to be kills coming down on both lanes for SSG. It's looking like a pretty hard outdraft so far, Panda. 6 gems to 0. Both lanes on SSG are absolutely doing mad work right now, so it's looking like LSC has a very, very tough task for them.
Yeah, it's not just the lanes doing work. I feel like Bobby's marking down the bow so consistently that the bow hasn't been able to actually land enough hits to get supers or hypercharges. Yeah. Like right now, it's almost a minute and he hasn't got his super yet. So that's something to think about here as Kirito goes in quite aggressively. Finds a kill on a Chino. Now Sands might be the next to fall. He surely is the next to fall, as Bobby is the last one on his team. With 9 gems on his head, he's obviously not going to be aggressing that much. Fire doesn't find its way onto Chino here.
Yeah, we're finally going to see a little bit of positioning for LLC, but Bobby with a crazy snipe with the hypercharge, and we see our first set of bow mines coming out. Maybe too little too late there. The tripwire kind of confirms that. But once again, Chino does still need to survive this, so it's not out of the water yet, especially with Sands going down. There's 6 seconds on the board. Is Chino going to be able to survive this? He is, but not Bobby, so they're going to be on 10 gems, right? Okay, wait, hold on. Sands is going to have 10 gems now. A lot of resets going down, but either way, still nowhere near enough time for LLC to get a natural reset. SSG is just kind of biding their time for now with 10 seconds left.
Yeah, Roladu trying to get something going here against Sands, but he's out of the way here. Bobby just going to be body blocking. Kirito might be able to get the reset. He is. Can he get away with the gems? He might be able to. He is going to get away with the gems. And the countdown is now for LC Esports and SSG in shambles.
How did that happen? That's crazy. I have no idea how he got out of that. That jump pad came in so clutch. And now it's looking pretty over. I don't think they have enough time. Chino is putting the fries in the bag, as well as the rest of the SSG roster. What an insane comeback right there. Through 3 resets, they never gave up the Chester hypercharge. It takes a while to get, but once you get it, it's the freest kill you'll ever see of your life. That was broad daylight robbery for LLC. We have double match point.
That was crazy. Did not expect that outcome. I mean, I thought, okay, they're going to try something with that Chester hypercharge. Didn't actually think it was going to pan out. We're going to go to game number 3 here. It is the last game between these 2 Titans. And let's see how this one works out for them, as Roladu is going to be tagged up quite a lot by Bobby on this left-hand side. Has to move back, but Sands being pinned down by Kirito, not able to make his presence known on the right-hand side here.
This is by far the best start that LSC has had throughout these last stop games right here. Sands is barely going to be able to survive that, but Bobby's going down. It's going to be 5 gems to 0. Sands finally bites the dust, and Kirito is farming the SSG roster right here. Chino's doing all he can just to kind of be a distraction with the bow mine connects, and they are fully spawn trapped by the Chester right now, getting so much value out here. Sands is moving up the right. He's got super, but Roladu is in his face. Gonna be a tough kill. He does end up getting it, but he's on fire. And they're down 8 gems to 0 right now. This is looking rough.
Yeah, Sans might go down, but no, he finds a kill onto Kirito instead. He has a hypercharge, doesn't have the super just yet. There is a speed zone in the back lines, allowing Kirito to move back into the mid much faster, but he's going to opt to jump onto the Squeak instead a bit later. Chino going up mano a mano against Roladu, but Bobby's helping him pick up the slack on the left-hand side. Right-hand side, Kirito going up against Sans finds the poison damage, and that's given enough room for the bow to pick up all the gems. Countdown now on the side of LSC Esports, but none of the SSG members within striking distance just yet.
They need to kill Squeezy on the bow right here. They have a Squeak hypercharge. They have a Carl super. They're trying to make a push for it. Bow might go down. Bobby needs one hit with 1 second left, and he can't get it. They outlast the clock, and they're able to actually finish that off, winning the last 2 games of last stop. Very good composure from the side of LOC. Cannot believe that they walked away with that, considering how the beginning of those first 2 games went. I have no idea how they won game 2, and then game 3 was just all of them. SSG fell apart after that fold.
Exactly. I felt like their mentality was broken somewhere halfway down the last game there, and they weren't able to come back. It just felt so sad, especially that Bobby needed just one more hit. But at the same time, so did the Chester on the other side. So I have to say, well played by LC Esports today. They deserved this win. They played out of their minds with their hearts on the line.
Yeah, that was insane. I cannot believe that they were able to win that with, I mean, just the beginning of the first 2 games. It was just Kirito was getting farmed. Squeezy was not really winning any matchup in the middle right there, but they just stayed down till they came up. And that's exactly what we saw, a 2-1 victory for LOC. And we are 1 game into GKR, and we already have our first major upset. I think that, like I predicted, man, NA is definitely a region full of bangers, and we should have no shortage of bangers today. But what an amazing way to start out. SSG back to the drawing board. LOC is going to be our #1 team so far. Only 1 game on the board, I'll admit, but still #1 seed LOC Esports. Crazy stuff so far.
Hey, you'll take those dubs whenever you get them. And against a team like SSG, that's huge for them. So, I mean, congratulations to Roladu, Wheezy, and Kirito. You guys played out of your minds. You deserve that dub. Commiserations to Space Station. Almost there. Just a little bit more, but it didn't pan out for them. And now we are going to be moving on to our second game here. Gadget Spam versus FA. Gadget Spam's going to have Patchy, Vegeta, and Alianis, 2 members of the BC gaming squad that was recently released. And on the side of FA, we have Juan Carlos, Eslevi, and Zar, a team which has been released from Elevate as their roster. So it's BC Gaming's roster that has gone nuclear for this competition versus previously Elevate side. And, you know, honestly, they're still a force. All these members are still a force to be reckoned with. And if you're an org looking to get into the NA esports scene, picking up either Gadget Spam or FA might be a really good winning bet here, especially as we go in the second half of the year where we get double points.
Yeah, I think that these are 2 teams that, although they maybe don't have orgs representing them right now, I think these are 6 fantastic players that definitely could do very well for an organization or for any team for that matter. That being said, though, they probably haven't had the longest of time to play together, so the team cohesion might be a little bit lacking, but the individual plays, I'm expecting big things from both Gadget Spam and FA. Always great to see my man Patchy out of retirement. Definitely excited that we get to cast some of his games right here, Panda. But these are 2 teams with a lot to prove on an individual level, trying to see who's going to gel together as a better team. But after what we saw in game #1, I have no idea what to expect coming out of game #2 here.
Honestly, that was such a question mark at the start. And I thought it was going to be a stomp by Space Station. I did not rate LSC as high as I should have, and that's my fault. But yeah, congratulations to them. I mean, that was just such a great victory. I feel like that's going to set the tempo for the rest of like the esports scene for NA here. We are going to have upsets. We're going to have teams that are Titans getting taken down by, you know, the little guy here and there. And, you know, that's just how you go. And I think that's the best part about esports. Anybody can beat anybody. You just have to believe in yourself and try.
I think that EMEA might have lulled us to sleep. The good teams just seem to always win in EMEA, but NA is a different beast, man. Anybody can win on any given day in NA, and that's what we just found out immediately throughout our first game of the day. But getting into Gadget Spam FA, these are 2 teams with a lot to prove here. Definitely not sure if there's going to be like a an agreed upon consensus favorite in this match. I'm sure a lot of people know a lot of these players, but maybe haven't seen them all play together as a team. But either way, looking again at our rosters here, we have Gadget Spam with Alianis, Patchy, and Vegeta against FA with Islivy, Juan Carlos, and Czar. Maybe they'll come up with a better name as we progress further into the season, but as of right now, these are the two rosters we have. Very creative logos, I might add.
Yeah, I mean, this is not at all the default logo, guys. Come on. But I mean, honestly, I'm really surprised that most of these players aren't attached with an organization. So that is like probably a big L by most organizations if they've decided not to pick them up or whatever reason. So hopefully they get picked up, but I think that they're here to show us what they're made of. Obviously, we've seen the prowess of Vegeta and his team, BC Gaming NA, or rather previously BC Gaming NA. They were playing so well. They drafted so well against much more lauded opponents, I would say. I wouldn't say better, but I would say lauded opponents, and were able to take out massive dubs considering the what they had to go up against. So I have to say Gadget Spam and Vegeta are some people to look out for in NA, and I think that they're kind of breaking apart the established order of what is expected to be at the top of NA.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. BC Gaming, which did employ Vegeta throughout the beginning of the year, has been one of the crazier stories. I feel like they were the only other team that's really been able to hang with Tribe Gaming so far, although Tribe has definitely still come out on top of most of those interactions. They've been the second in command up there. A lot of people expected it to be SSG. A lot of people expected it to be Pioneers, but either way, the players for BC have put up great performances. We just saw Patchy make it to the grand finals in his first monthly final of the year after quote unquote retiring from esports. Hopefully he's capping on that. Would love to see him back for more, but they've definitely got a lot to prove here. Definitely going to be some organizations watching. Maybe somebody's going to get their grubby hands on one of these beautiful rosters right here, but we're going to be starting off. I think these should be two pretty evenly matched teams right here as we get into, oh, I guess not yet, but we are going to have the same three maps once again, in case anybody wasn't aware.
Yeah, it's gonna be Hard Rock Mine, Double Swoosh, and Last Stop. And just thinking about how the meta has been evolving, we went from very aggressive picks based on how good the gadgets were after the rework to something slightly different here. We have a little bit more balancing on the side of the gadget cooldowns. So you're seeing a little bit more variance in terms of what the meta is presenting itself. I also like the fact that with the new hypercharges, we haven't seen it being employed as much in competitive in the last 2 days. I feel like teams are still feeling it out and seeing how good or it could be or where it stands in the meta, especially for example Amber. It's, I think, undoubtedly a really strong hypercharge, but I feel like teams aren't ready to figure out whether she is supposed to be banned out because she's that strong or whether she is just like a niche pick for specific maps, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Amber's always been pretty solid on Double Swoosh, so we did see her banned out in the Space Station versus LLC set. Wouldn't be surprised to see her banned out here again, but besides that, like, Kenji, I feel like you can count on being banned out. Lumi, you can count on being banned out. And speaking of that, guys, getting straight into set number one, Hard Rock Mine, we've got Gadget Spam banning out Janet, Lumi, Kenji makes a lot of sense. FA is going to ban out 8-Bit Buster and Buzz, so the tankiest mid as well as two of the more aggressive brawlers. And once again, that first pick Gray is going to be coming back into play. Not surprised to see that at all. I feel like this is something that we'll see throughout the rest of the day as well.
Indeed. I like this Gray pick. There's nothing wrong with Gray. I think that you can't go wrong with the Gray early pick. Again, we see Terra coming out from Gadget Spam as a first pick here. I mean, there is a lot of grass here, so I guess Terra is pretty decent in terms of the scouting. But I feel like because of the grass, we could possibly go for an Amber as well, but Lily is going to be coming out for Gadget Spam, so they're opting for a little bit more of the aggro presence, getting onto the opposing gem carrier and making life hell for them is probably the order of the day.
Yeah, I think that the Lily is going to be a solid option. They're probably assuming that FA will go a little bit aggressive. They do, in fact, with the Jackie, so maybe not the easiest matchup for Gadget Spam's Lily into the Jackie, but either way, I mean, it just makes everything so much more hectic. If she's able to connect one of those hypercharged supers, should be a pretty free kill onto anybody in the game. especially if they're able to hook onto a Gray somehow. But I think that the Lily's definitely going to throw a wrench into the plans of FA here. Gadget Spam is still looking for a mid with their last pick, but FA is going to be wrapping up their draft with a Chester. Makes a lot of sense to me. Good enough into Lily, and it's kind of like taking it away from Gadget Spam if they were going to try to Chester into the Jackie there.
Yeah, I like this from Gadget Spam. They have a way to get in, they have the way to get out as well with everything, and they have an answer to the the tank coming out from not BCK, from Gadget Spam. So pretty well-rounded draft from FA, I would say. I think that there are merits to the Gadget Spam competition, but they don't have an out and out mid, so to speak, against this FA comp.
I'm not sure how I feel about the Rosa. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I kind of understand how it could be decent. Like once you start cycling out those shields, like you might be able to do a little bit of work onto the Jackie, but I feel like taking a Rosa into a Jackie and Chester is a little bit scary. Not sure if it's my favorite draft I've ever seen, but we're into game number 1. This is our first match between Gadget Spam and FA, and we see Patchy getting hooked immediately by Zar. Fantastic aim from him on that part, but Vegeta's going to be pushing up onto Juan Carlos on the Jackie right there. We are going to see Patchy playing Tara mid, which is a little bit unorthodox, I would say. Alianis is trying to sneak up the right side, but Vegeta's going to go down. So far, pretty even, though.
Yeah, when Carlos has a super, I don't think he's going to use it against Alianis, because obviously Alianis could just gadget away from that situation there. But I understand the reason why they want to go Rosa now. You want to get all the grass here and make it easier for, you know, Patchy to be sneaky with his Terra. And I think that's probably what's going to give them the dub here. Honestly, it's cheesy, but I think it's going to work, honestly.
I don't hate the idea. I feel like with a brawler like Tara with like no range really as your mid, it's definitely going to be helpful to have some of those sneakier plays. But Patchy actually connects there. Zar somehow goes down even with the teleport, but Juan Carlos is going to clean up, and now it's all up to Vegeta. If Juan Carlos is able to get out of here, then Gadget Spam is going to be in a very tricky situation. Vegeta does clean up with the help of Alianis, and we see a countdown, but it's on the 2 brawlers that that Gadget Spam would prefer don't have any gems. So now Patchy's going to be playing the role of the distractor. He will have his hypercharge super upon respawn.
Indeed, Alianis just did a little bit of a peek over there. Gravity being used here. There is a reset. Zar is going to be taken out, but that reset is going to ensure that there is some way forward for, I forget the team's name.
FA, definitely a very exciting team name. But either way, Juan Carlos is doing what he can right here. Not really going to result in a whole lot right now. Alianis should be able to make an escape if he's ever under pressure, but it looks like it won't even come to that. And we're going to see Gadget Spam walk away with the first game. These drafts, honestly, Panda, are just so hectic. I love NA for this exact reason. Like, what other region would you expect to run a Tara mid with a Rosa Bush jungle? Like, very exciting stuff going down there. I really like this strategy. It's not something I've seen before with the Rosa Tara strategy, but I think it's working out pretty well for them. We're getting into game number 2. We're going to have to see how that goes again. I think Zar's going to have to be a little bit more careful with the gems this time.
This is such a cheesy strategy. I love it. And already a nice pull from Zara. Gets kill on Apache as well. Now when Carlos going up against, I don't know who the Rosa is, gets the kill over there as well. And finally, there is a trade from Alianis and the, Ray, I guess? No.
Yeah, well, the Rosa is Vegeta, but they're going to be getting the bush jungle set up. Alianis with an absolute snipe onto Zar, though. He's going to transfer the gems over to his Livy on the Chester for the time being, but Patchy has a pull. He decides not to go for it quite yet. It looks like they're just using it to gain positioning as of right now, but Patchy holds on to it and misses it onto Juan Carlos. Very unfortunate for Patchy right there. Zar's teleporting in with not a whole lot to do. Alianis is going to go down, and once again, I'm not sure what Patchy's pulling here. Maybe just wanted to go for the grass break, but maybe a little bit questionable on the pulls. Juan Carlos is going to come in, cause so much chaos, and he might even be able to get away with that. Vegeta goes down, and that's going to be 10 gems on FA.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Patchy, I don't know what that play was, but I think they're going to be regretting that one here. Zara is going to be taken out here, and Alianis goes in with his hypercharge, gets stunned by Zv. Should be able to find the kill on Zv. So there is a reset. Gems are going to be picked up. Zara, once again, is going to be pressured by Alianis. There's a kill, though. 0-2 gets killed on Juan Carlos. Pull back, though. He's like, get back here. Gets a kill. The gems are there, though, on display. But it's not going to be picked up by anybody just yet. Juan Carlos is going to be picking them up, but the gravity pulls him back once more, and a kill from Alianis with a super, and it's just back and forth and back again, chat.
The gems just keep exchanging hands right there. Vegeta did a great job keeping them in it. Patchy hitting the hook, the gravity pull as well to kind of save them right there. But Juan gets two people with his Jackie pull. The gems are going to be falling into Alianis's hands. It's going to be 9 gems in Alianis's hands, 8 gems in Zar's hand, 1 in Juan Carlos. So, I mean, the countdown is definitely looking like it's favoring FA right now. But Juan is in a pretty aggro position. Vegeta gets his super. He's able to kill him. Might even be able to go for Zar there. Not really too sure why he backed off. Maybe his Livy was going to be able to help, but Patchy cleans that up. Ooh. And I think that they just need one more gem, but Alianis doesn't even want to play the safe game. He's going for the gem carrier with the Lily Hypercharge, and he's going to walk away with that. That's going to be set number 1, going into the hands of Gadget Spam.
That was crazy. For a second there, it just felt like there was a member of both teams falling every other second, and at the end of the day, Gadget Spam gets that dub.
That was a crazy exchange of gems. Very hard to commentate over that type of action that we just saw right there, Panda. I feel like I could have written a whole essay about what each individual player is doing right there. That was some crazy exchanges of the gems, but Alianis definitely did a great job securing the gems for his team, choosing the right time to go in on the opposing gem carrier. The Lily is a brawler that might seem pretty useless throughout the beginning of the game, but it really just takes that one play, and then you can just go into the Shadow Realm with the gems too. It's a pretty cheesy escape strategy, but it works nonetheless. We do see Gadget Spam taking advantage of that strategy. They're going to be up 1-0 so far.
Yeah, we're gonna go in set number 2 to a double swoosh, but I have to mention that I think that the games are much closer than I thought that they would be. I felt like it would be a runaway game for FA, but I feel like maybe the mentality might be reset a little bit considering the recent news that they got, right? So that could be a possibility.
Yeah, I think both of these rosters are going through a good amount of change, which is somewhat common for this point in the esports season. But it seems like this year's been even a little crazier than years past. So I'm sure that both players or both our rosters have a lot going through their heads as far as their spot in the esports scene in general. But overall, I mean, all they can really ask for today is to step out there and give a good performance in the first round of GKR. So definitely liking what I'm seeing from both teams. Definitely could have seen that set going either way. Juan Carlos was honestly cooking on that Jackie quite hard. So definitely expecting big things as we get into double swoosh right here.
Yep, double swoosh. We saw a lot of back and forth gameplay happening on double swoosh in the previous match between LC Esport and SSG. Hopefully we get some more chaos. I actually enjoyed a lot of the chaos which we saw in Hard Rock Mine in the previous set. So I'm open to seeing a little bit more of that as we go into double swoosh though.
Hey, you didn't forget where we are, right, man? We're in North America. There's going to be chaos. That's the one consistent thing about North America is that it will be inconsistent, except for Tribe Gaming, but we don't have to talk about that. So either way, we're going to be getting into some double swoosh here. Definitely expecting some more tanks, maybe some more gray portals, maybe some more Tara pulls. I think that there's a lot of interesting brawlers that could see the field here. Maybe Amber, if she's not banned out, we could get to see that hypercharge for the first time in NA. But besides that, I mean, we did see a Mortis in the SSG set, and it worked out pretty decently well. So there's definitely a lot of different strategies you can go for. We did see the Rosa pulled out on Hard Rock, so that could definitely be an option here as well. I don't even know what to expect though, man. I feel like these drafts have been all over the place. The assassins have been assassinating. The tanks have been taken. It's just been an insane set so far.
The tanks have been tankinating.
You already know it.
We're gonna go
Getting into double swoosh, guys. We've got the bans in: Buster, Tara, Squeak, Lily, Kenji, Lumi. We've got Gadget Spam with the first pick here, Panda.
Indeed, Buster, Tara, Squeak, Lily, Kenji, Lumi. That's quite the lineup of bands here. But I still haven't seen Gray, and we talked about how Gray Hypercharge might be something that is quite good, but I feel like a lot of the teams just do not rate it as highly as we probably expected. Janet's going to be coming out first for Gadget Spam. I like the Janet pick. It allows you to scout out the bushes a lot more because of the drop the base gadget. Gray coming out, like I said, you can't really go wrong with Gray here, so it's a pretty good pick for the side of FA going with this Gray quite early on. They had the next pick as well here, Duncan.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see the Gray coming out, but would you look at who they pair it with? I've never been less surprised in my life. The Gray Hank strategy is ever present across regions right here. It's such a cheesy strat, and we're going to see it employed one more time here. Though I do really like Janet on this map, I feel like the one area that she does kind of lack is with damage. So I feel like that could kind of be what FA is looking at here. Maybe they even add an additional aggro brawler at the end. But wow. For the first time in competitive this year, for myself at least, we're going to see the Clancy out here. So a hard tank counter, exactly what they're going for with that. I have not seen the hypercharge be used in a single competitive game yet. So I'm looking forward. Maybe he'll be able to get the hypercharge. Maybe we'll be disappointed, but definitely a little bit of an out there pick. I'm a little bit surprised to see the crab grace my screen here.
Honestly, I think the crab does pretty well against the fish. Let's be honest, because like you're just gonna be walking up straight into Clancy, right? And the Clancy just pops a gadget and is able to get those promotions. And sure, the hypercharge, the Hank definitely wins that outcome. But I feel like the Clancy, if you give him the chance to cook, he is gonna give you some fried fish.
He's definitely going to be looking to fry that fish up right there. The Melody is an interesting pick as well. It's one of those brawlers that really works if you're really good at the brawler, and all these guys are pretty good at most brawlers. So I assume that we'll have a pretty cracked Melody play in the Melody, and there we go. The new Amber hypercharge is going to be in play as well. So definitely super useful for burning down the grass. Pretty useful for like kind of holding down a lane. You can just throw that oil out there and you don't even have to light it if you don't want to. It's going to make it pretty difficult to move up in that way. But overall, this has been an insane draft, especially from the side of Gadget Spam. I cannot believe what type of draft that we're seeing right here. This is, like somebody said in chat, definitely something I would expect to see in my Mythic lobby.
It's a Frankenstein for draft. I haven't really, I haven't seen these sort of brawlers being brought out together specifically, but there are some things which give me a little bit of confidence. Like for example, the Gray along with the Amber. I feel like Amber is going to cook on lane here. The Hank might be a little bit of the wild card pick here, but Patchy isn't going up against Juan Carlos, which I feel like should be the specific matchup he should be opting for.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to cycle him over to that side, but Alianis is going to clean up pretty easily, actually. The fish is kind of feeding everybody pretty well so far, and that's going to result in the Melody dashes. It's going to be Patchy almost at his level 2. He does, in fact, get his level 2 here, and Zara is going to finally get the teleporter set up, so expecting Juan Carlos to definitely be utilizing that, but Patchy is going to blast through them, and the crab pick seems to be a fantastic option so far. He's already at level 3. And I mean, the crab is pretty buns before that, but now that he's got level 3, I don't know who's going to stop him, really.
You're right. I mean, most people don't like to play Clancy because it's hard to get that level 3, but once you've already got it, it's basically game over for the other team. Though 0-2 is going to go up against Zari is very low. Patchy's going to go up and bully Zara, gets a kill there. He has a super hypercharge as well. Good opt to destroy Juan Carlos if he so desired. That's all he needs to do.
He's going to be a little bit weak on HP right here, but Vegeta only needs 2 more gems on the Janet to be able to lock this game. Alianis is making a play for the gem carrier. He does grab them. Vegeta's in a tough spot, but he gets a hypercharge at the most opportune moment. So now it's just Alianis and Vegeta with 10 gems. Patchy's going to be able to defend them with his life and with the hypercharge, though. Please pop it, Patchy. I need to see it in action. Look at it go. Crazy work right there. Juan's going to be doing what he can here. Vegeta actually does go down, but Alianis is going to have a pretty free lane to pick up all 12 of those gems right here. Patchy's still playing a little bit of defense, but FA has definitely got their work cut out for them here. It's going to be a pretty impossible reset with the Melody dashes online.
Indeed. Alianis just adding insult to injury for FA, getting that kill there. It's going to give the side of Gadget Spam the match point here. They just need one more win, and they confirm their victory against their opponents here.
That was fantastic work right there. The crab pick against all odds does seem to be the lock of the century right here. We've seen Gadget Spam pull out some insane drafts, man. It's actually insane how they just pick outside of the meta, and it does not seem to matter. First with a Rosa, now with a crab, but we're getting into game number 2. This is match point for Gadget Spam. We see Vegeta taken back into the mid, but another great hook from Zara, and he has been dialed in with those gray hooks so far today.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times people hyper-focus on the meta itself to the point where they forget that you're specifically playing against the other team, right? So, yes, you have to rate the meta highly, but at the same time, you have to draft specifically for the opposition that you're going up against. And I feel like that sort of flexibility that Vegeta's team brings in any of the iterations that they're in allows them to destroy a lot of teams when they don't expect to be destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going pretty well for them so far, though. They do have the Gray Portal set up, which is going to be pretty impactful. And Patchy does not have the easiest of matchups into his Livy on the Amber right there. He's going to go down, and he's still hard stuck level 1. So this seems like a little bit more of a realistic crab game that you might be used to if you've tried playing the crab before. pops the gadget, but not really going to be able to get much out of it. He's trying to force this matchup onto Juan Carlos, who's going to teleport in with the full bubble. Patchy does get his level 2 out of that. Alianis is going to dash in and try to make a play onto Juan. It is going to be successful, and we're going to see the gems kind of evening up a little bit. Vegeta sitting on 5 now, with Zar sitting on 6 as he takes down Patchy.
Ooh, Juan Carlos pops his hypercharge already. Oh, he doesn't pop his... Oh, he does. Never mind. I'm kind of blind.
It's going all right, though. I mean, Vegeta does have to fly out of that situation right there. He obviously doesn't have the most utility on his hand right now. Patchy, after an absolute pop-off in game number 1, is kind of getting a little bit farmed right here, but Alianis' Melody dashing in. Not really going to be able to get any kills, but he does clear out some space right here. Obviously, with 9 gems on the field, though, it's just going to require one more. Juan is going to grab that. Patchy dies once again to his Livy's Amber. And it just seems like the Crab matchup did not go the way that they were anticipating after game number 1. They're still trying to make a play over here, but Vegeta dies with all the gems. Alianis is going to pick him up, but they have to kill Zar, and it seems like too little too late. That's going to be a very, very good bounce back from FA right there.
Yeah, that's a great spot from FA. I like the fact that they were able to isolate what the problem was, and the problem was the crab. Once they were able to cook the crab and ensure that they didn't get any of those power-ups, it was basically game over for the side of Gadget Spam. And hopefully Gadget Spam are going to be able to change how they go up against their opposition. Otherwise, it's going to be curtains for them in the set.
Yeah, I think that the lane assignments are super important here. I mean, Patchy, in the first game, he got level 3 immediately, and they won easily. In the second game, he couldn't get leveled up, but this game, he does get his level 2. Not going to get much more than that, but I do think he kind of has to force this matchup onto Juan Carlos. Alianis with a well-timed dash, almost able to take Juan out, but Juan is going to survive nonetheless. Patchy is the last man standing, sitting on the very beginning of level 2, so not super close to getting his level 3 utility and speed out of there yet so far. This is looking like a pretty clean game from FA so far. They've got their portal set up, they've got a 6-gem lead, and they've got Patchy hardstuck.
The Alianis going in, gets taken out by Juan Carlos, gets popped like a bubble, and Juan Carlos going down to Patchy. Patchy is very close to getting his 3rd promotion here, but is Livy going to try to ensure that doesn't happen as he takes him out here? But Vegeta takes flight, is able to find the kill. Alianis gets taken out with another super. Zar has his own hypercharge, but not able to get his super off. I think that was a mistime there.
Yeah, looking a little unfortunate there. Juan's going to pick up gem number 10. And Gadget Spam's going to have to take out Juan or Zar right here in order to get a reset. Patchy is, once again, not going to be able to get his level 3 here. He's getting bullied by his Livy on that lane. Not an ideal matchup for the Crab. And Alianis is the last man standing, but FA is going to walk back to the spawn with another win right here. We're tied up at 1-1 after getting pushed to a match point right there. FA responded very well. I think that their comp was fantastic. Zar played fantastic on the gray. Juan was cooking on the fish, and his Livy was bullying Patchy. So great team plays, and we're going to be tied up going into set number 3.
I like how you said as Livy was bullying Patchy as the addition there. That was pretty good. Yeah, well played by FA. I felt like, you know, the first set first game they were completely rolled by Patchy, but once they were able to ensure that the fish didn't get the crab didn't get the promotions and the Clancy was ensured that it was only 1 or 2, that was easy way forwards for them, because, you know, once a Clancy is like level 1, you don't get that speed, you don't get the range, you don't get the number of projectiles. Afterwards, it just becomes harder and harder to deal with the Clancy. So in the 3rd game, you did see getting quite close, and that was because in the first interaction, Patchy was allowed to use his gadget and get full value with it, and allowing him to get the 2nd level. So that's something that they kept in mind, and they were trying to ensure that they, you know, kept Patchy isolated. I feel like that was the crux of the composition. But honestly, I have to say all 3 members of FA played well. They kept their lanes on hold a lot of the times. The Amber singed the grass and made it impossible for them to really get into the mid without really contesting. So it was such a, you know, important team play situation and scenario which FA were able to come out on top in.
Yeah, I would call it the tale of 2 crabs. The hard start crab was going to result in the L, and the level 3 crab was going to result in a W. It's kind of just the gamble that you sign up for whenever you pick a crab in competitive. Definitely a pretty tough brawler to level up. I mean, I know in past metas we've seen Surge being pretty meta, but if you keep Surge hard stuck at level 1, there's not much that you can do. So I feel like the crab kind of operates in a similar way. We didn't really see too much action after game number 1 from Patchy, though. So, I mean, in set number 3, we're going into last stop. Definitely expecting another crazy draft right here. I feel like we have not yet gone through a matchup between these two teams without some absolutely diabolical draft picks. So can't wait to see what they pull out here. But we saw a crazy game from SSG on this map as well. Definitely, even if you lose one game, you can win the next game. It's a very spawn trappy map, so we'll have to see how it goes here.
Yeah, I have to say I like the way the idea behind the way Gadget Spam does their draft. It's all about responding to the now, the present, rather than adhering strictly to the meta. And I feel like that is probably one of the reasons why they're able to be so successful. And we're gonna go into our draft right now. We have our bans. They're gonna be Janet, Lumi, Kenji, Stu, Buster, and 8-Bit. First pick for FA, and wouldn't be surprised to see a Gray being picked up early on.
Yeah, I think compared to the other two maps we've seen today,
Ooh.
Gray isn't the best on this map. It's a little bit longer range, not really as many walls to hook people through. So kind of just on cue, we're going to see a Lily be the first pick. I believe that's what we saw in the SSG set as well, but Lily's a fantastic brawler here, can definitely be a menace. You can definitely get a good kill on the gem carrier if you're able to snipe with that super. So I think the Lily pick does make sense. It's a little bit out there, but we're going to see Gadget Spam countering with a Tara, with a Chester. Two pretty sturdy lanes right here. Definitely some solid tank counters that don't get bullied by the Lily as hard as a lot of other brawlers. So I think that it is pretty solid draft so far from the side of Gadget Spam. Now we're going to see FA picking up a little bit more range as well as the gem carrier.
Indeed, I like the Chester here. So great for taking out these tankier options that you might see FA going for. Gus coming out. We saw, I think, Bobby use the Gus here. I'm not averse to Gus. I think that Gus is one of the best long range mids here on this map, and obviously the support that it can give Lily specifically with the bubble is something that you really need to contend with if you're Gadget Spam. But Lily is gonna have a hard time actually just teleporting on either Terra or Chester, because the amount of damage that they do up close is kind of insane. So I think that, you know, Gus needed to be picked up to give Lily a little bit more mojo to be, you know, consequential in the map.
Yeah, with the Lily first pick, you can expect her to be countered out by the other team's draft right there. The Gus does kind of cover for that. I like the Carl pick as well. Obviously, he's going to be able to pierce through the Tara pets, and he doesn't do the worst into Chester. I do still like Chester into Carl in a 1v1 matchup, but overall, not the worst option. And then we're going to see, for the second time today, a Rosa coming into the fray. Definitely a pretty interesting comp. Once again, I think they're going for the Tara mid with the Bush expansion strategy. So I mean, it's definitely outside of the box, not something I would expect to see in anything but NA. So I love to see it. I'm definitely excited to get into this game. What is Lily going to be able to do, I feel like, is kind of the main question here.
Yeah, for sure. And just for people who are joining us now, it is tied at 1 apiece. Each team has taken a set, 1 to Gadget Spam and 1 to FA, as we go into our third set here. First game off, and already the grass is going to be coming online with Vegeta putting it on the right hand side. Patchy is going to be on this Terra once more, but I don't know if it's going to pay as many dividends as it did for them in the first set. On the right hand side, I believe he gets the better of the Rosa here, and I think there's a little bit of miscommunication as he was still bush checking and there wasn't anybody at that point in time, but I think that they have things under wraps right now.
Yeah, Vegeta's continuing to build out his jungle, but Zara's kind of taking advantage of it right now. It's not really the worst thing for Zara, considering that he can kind of slime up into their spawn if he pleases now. He does have Hypercharge online as well, as Livy barely gets away from Alianis on the Chester right there. Juan Carlos does have a pretty tough task right now. He's going to have to use his gadget to go in on Alianis. Should be able to secure that kill, but he's traded out by Patchy. So right now we do see, I mean, the positioning is not looking the best for Gadget Spam. We have Vegeta picking up gems as well. Patchy likely going to die to Zar. And the gems are definitely heavily favoring the side of FA, as Livy is really yet to be pressured this game.
Indeed, I'll be honest, with his hypercharge, he finds some value. He gets this poison off on Elzevy. I think he might be able to get the kill as well. No, Elzevy is going to survive. Zar goes on a Vegeta, not able to get the kill. Alianis does get the kill onto Elzevy. In fact, the poison damage. Zar going in. He tries to find a kill, gets taken out. Juan Carlos and Patchy is taken out as well. So, after all of these interactions, we are down to 8-6 in terms of the gem line.
Yeah, it's definitely coming back, though. I mean, it's a little weird to see Vegeta as the Rosa gem carrier, but either way, he does have his jungle pretty much completely set up. He's going to have to pop super to get out of that situation. It's going to work, though. And then Patchy actually hits the pull right there. And just like that, we're going to see him get a double kill. Only
Oh,
9
no!
gems in pocket, but Juan uses the hyper. He's going in. Does Alianis have anything to defend it? No, he has the gadget. He's going to nuke him preemptively, though.
Oh.
Fantastic prediction there. Is the Lily going to die to the smoke? Indeed, she does. But still, 12 gems sitting in the spawn for FA. They're going to need gadget spam's going to have to make a play right here.
Ooh, SAV with a nice gadget here. Vegeta going in. Surely he finds the kill. No, SAV gets a super off a hypercharge as well. And that is going to be game number 1 for the side of FA, as they are now on match point against Gadget Spam here, Duncan.
That was an insane game. I thought that Gadget Spam was going to be able to bring that back, but it ended up not working out there. The Chester predictive super onto the Lily that was in the Shadow Realm was crazy, but it still wasn't enough. They were able to get those gems back to the spawn, so we're going to have to see a better start from Gadget Spam here, I would like to say. I mean, they definitely were getting a little bit bullied at the beginning of the game, like 6 gems to 1 before Gadget Spam really got anything going. But we see a double up on the left lane, predicting that Juan Carlos would go in right there. Alianis is moving up, but this is a must-win for Gadget Spam. They have a much better start here.
Indeed, Vegeta is going to be taken out by Zar. Patchy is a lone man alive in the middle. He gets taken out with 2 members of FA collapsing on him. Zar in a very aggro position, but I think he's going to be happy taking up this lane here. He's also going to get his fire soon enough, which is going to be another problem here. Juan Carlos going up against Alianis gets taken out because of all of that damage, gravity from Patchy, but he's going to be taken out. Zar is still alive with only 345 HP to his name.
Yep, Alianis is going to pick up those 3 gems on the left, but he's going to come face to face with Juan Carlos. He does win that interaction. Patchy's slamming through here. I don't know if they saw him, but he's got hypercharge pull. He does go down to his Livy's Kooky Popper, but definitely something to look out for when he gets back here. Juan Carlos goes in with the Gus hypercharge shield. Still gets taken out. Absolutely blasted through by Alianis and Vegeta. Patchy's going to be getting supered on by Zara as well. Chooses to hold on to his hypercharge pull for the time being. Alianis has his Chester hypercharge as well, so lots of utility on both sides right now. I'm expecting Patchy and Alianis to go make a play soon, but they are only down by 3 gems, so not really a huge rush yet.
Yeah, Vegeta gets a kill on Zara on the right-hand side. There are 7 gems on... Wait, Juan Carlos going in with his gadget, gets taken out, so a lot of that crisis averted for Gadget Spam, as they are going to be getting back into this game here. Vegeta going to be popping his super, but Zar gets his super off onto Vegeta, finds a kill. Juan Carlos able to get 1 kill, not able to get the second. Patchy does have a hypercharge, goes for it, pulls Juan Carlos, not able to find the kill just yet, but his teammates are able to pick up the slack with the kill as well on the other side. It is great for Gadget Spam, as they now have almost all the gems here to their name. There is going to be a hypercharge by Zar. He goes for it. Can he find the kill on Alianis? He does get taken out himself. And it is an 8 to 5 gem line, but some more gems are going to be picked up by the team in blue here, as Juan Carlos goes up against 0-2, but not able to get the kill there.
That was some good math by the side of Gadget Spam there, waiting until they got the 11th, knowing that 10 wouldn't be enough. Patchy's going to hit a triple pull to secure the rest of this game. Vegeta's going to be able to survive. Patchy saved his utility for the right moments right there, man. He definitely was waiting for when exactly he needed them. A little bit of glaze, perhaps. I mean, I feel like it's justified in this situation. We're going to double match point. Some fantastic matchups so far. And I mean, these comps are insane, but it definitely could go either way. I mean, with the Lily gadgets and the Lily supers, with the Tara pulls, like, it's just, there's so much variety that could happen here. The gems have exchanged hands so many times, but we're into our double match point. And we're going to see Lily moving up the right side for the first time in this set. It's going to be popping right onto Vegeta. Should be able to kill, barely able to kill him. And Patchy's going to be kind of forcing the issue on his Livy in the spawn.
Indeed, on the right-hand side, you have his Levy and Zar and Juan Carlos, all actually using the grass put in by Vegeta to dominate this right-hand side, but Vegeta actually managing to do a number on them. Patchy just needlessly walking into the fire there, so that was a bit unfortunate. Zar getting taken out, but Patchy has his gravity. And on the left-hand side, we have Juan Carlos going in with his hypercharge. He should be able to find the kill on a 0-2. He gets his gem. He should be able to get out of here, but probably not alive. He does get taken out, and I think that he is fine with that with that scenario. Hypercharge being popped, gravity coming in. Zar tries to use the super to get away. He's not going to be able to do so, but the fire damage makes sure that he gets taken out.
Thought that he might have been able to Carl super out of that Tara pull, but his Livy's going to be in a tough spot right there. Vegeta popping his Rosa hyper at the perfect time. That's going to be 9 gems, 10 gems. sitting on gadget spam here. If they're able to survive this countdown, that's going to be game, but not if Juan Carlos has anything to say about it. Zar has his super as well with the hypercharge online. They're both kind of trapped in the back of the spawn right here, but Patchy has hyper super, gonna take out Zar, and it's all up to his Livy now. Not gonna be able to get through Vegeta though, and that's going to be our game going into the hands of gadget spam. Very, very back and forth. Absolutely crazy stuff right there, but gadget spam comes out on top. What a hectic set, man.
That was crazy from Gadget Spam. I have to say, like, FA also played miraculously, right? You had those hypercharges coming in from Lily from Juan Carlos. He absolutely destroyed the other team. But then at the same time, you had the gravities on the other side with the Terra. And I think the back and forth gameplay is basically so emblematic of what we saw through all of the 3 sets today for this fixture.
Yeah, I think that out of the box drafts, the back and forth exchange of gems, it's just exactly what I expected when we saw these two teams queue up here. But overall, both teams played really well. There was obviously a lot of hectic stuff going on, but they kind of kept their cool more or less throughout the entire set. I think that both of those teams definitely could have seen themselves with a path to victory there, but it is going to be Gadget Spam joining LLC as our first 2 teams going to pick up wins in GKR so far. And then unfortunately for FA, they're going to join SSG at 0-1 so far. But we're getting into our game number 3 right here with STMN facing up against Mori Gaming. But before we do that, we're going to hop into a quick little break, guys. So we'll be back in 2 to 3 minutes right there. But guys, stay tuned. We got STMN and Mori Gaming coming up next. So
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR 2025 NA Brawl Stars Circuit. I am your host, Headcast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. How are you doing today, Duncan?
I'm doing well, man. We saw 2 absolutely electric games already. I knew North America wouldn't disappoint. And so far, definitely living up to my expectations. Expecting the craziness to continue, though. As we get into game number 3, we've got STMN versus Mori Gaming. 2 teams with a lot to prove, I would say, Panda.
Indeed, SCMN have Paint, Steel Tacos, Mori have Alex, Milu, and Sunny. I think I pronounced that wrong, didn't I? Anyway, so like, as I was saying, Stamina Esports have consistently shown up at monthly finals this year, but honestly, they haven't managed to breach that first round just yet. They are a consistent squad though, going up against more gaming. It is a ragtag team of players in Sunny, Alex, Clarity, and Z. And honestly, maybe the predictability of a new squad might do them some favors against the Stamina Esports side, which may not be as great as Stamina was in the heyday, but are still really great contenders nonetheless.
Yeah, they likely have the advantage as far as team cohesion goes. Probably had a little bit more time to practice together compared to the side of Mori Gaming. That is some great players, but kind of a little bit of a last minute team thrown together. But they've qualified for this tournament, so they definitely have what it takes to be able to take wins. And after what we've seen throughout the first two games, I feel like I have to throw everything I know about Brawl Stars out the window because it seems like it could be anybody's game at any moment in time. But once again, here are our maps we have for today, guys, starting with Hard Rock, going into Double Swoosh, and then Last Stop if needed. But we have not seen a team sweep yet today. Maybe we'll see that happen for the first time right now, but honestly, I'm not expecting it, man. I feel like the drafts have been all over the place, the games have been all over the place, and the amount of gems that we've seen exchange hands have just been absolutely ridiculous. I love to see it as a fan, but it's got to be pretty stressful for the players, I can't lie.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that's a scenario that they want to see happening. We're gonna go into our first draft here on Hard Rock Mine. Gonna have Gray, Chester, Hank, Max, Gray, and Kenji being banned. So double Gray bans. That implies that we have one more brawler being brought out, and Lumi's gonna be brought out by Stamina. I think Lumi is a pretty great pick. I don't believe she got nerfed, right? With the recent
She
Galaxies.
did,
A
but it
slight
wasn't
one, but
super impactful. It was like a gadget
exactly,
cooldown nerf.
exactly. So
But
it's
yeah, I think the Lumi is still a really good pick. I mean, I love the Kenji bands. It's about time we see Gray banned because he's been such a staple of all of these comps. But we do see Bo coming off the board for Mori Gaming. Pretty solid option right here. If they can catch you lacking with those bow mines, it definitely could be a game changer right there. Also, before we continue with this draft, can we talk about Taco's shirt, man? That thing is absolutely insane. It's glowing. It's actually insane aura right there. He's definitely aura farming a little bit. But either way, we're going back into the what you guys came here for. We got Buster. We've got Bo coming off the board for Mori Gaming. Pretty solid option. Buster's a fantastic tank. He can definitely do a lot of work with the gadget, with the shield. And he kind of gets that hypercharge for free just by hanging out near his teammates. So I like the 2-3 turn from Mori Gaming. But also, Lumi is still such a broken brawler. We've seen her mostly banned out every game for a reason. So not going to be surprised if Lumi is definitely a pretty impactful brawler here.
Yeah, for sure. And Buster gonna be brought out by Mori Gaming. You can't really go wrong with Buster, right? It's still like one of the best tank brawlers here, and Stamina gonna go for their own Jackie. It's a really great shout here, especially considering the fact that both Hank and Chester have been banned out. So I feel like there isn't really a good answer specifically to the Jackie here for Mori, other than possibly say a Lou or something like that. And Stamina gonna go with the Juju here as their last pick. Like you mentioned, Juju's probably the best thrower on this map just because of the amount of range that you can get with throwing your projectiles over the grass. So I think that it's a pretty decent shout here.
Yeah, I think the Juju's pretty solid, especially considering Buster's the tank of choice for Mori Gaming. Not one of the most aggressive tanks. He doesn't have any movement abilities, so not really going to be able to get the jump on Juju like other tanks like Jackie or like Buzz would. Obviously, Mori could still add a second tank, but we saw that not go the best for STMN. Either or not for STMN, for SSG, my apologies. But the last pick is in, and it is in fact
It's
going to be another
STMN.
tank. The El Primo coming off the board for Mori. That's going to be a pretty crazy pick right there. I think that he definitely could do a lot of work. As far as like tank v tank matchups, Jackie does typically tend to come out on top, but Primo is the other one that can kind of shut down other tankier options. So I don't hate the pick at all for Mori. They're going to have to play it pretty well, but I think that these comps are definitely going to be pretty hectic, especially on the side of Mori Gaming. SCMM with a little bit more of a standard comp.
Yeah, I mean, the comp might be standard, but just the amount of pressure that can be brought in by Mori Gaming is something that to be concerned about if you're Stamina here. And ooh, already they get a kill onto Alex, and on the other side, though, Sunny gets the kill onto Tacos. That's huge. And just the amount of range that you can see on display with Kane here in the grass is something that you have to really be concerned about if you are on the side of Mori Gaming. Jump coming in from Sunny. He goes in onto Tacos, but he gets taken out by Tacos' Crusher. Counter
Yeah,
crush.
Taco's barely able to survive, but Steel is going to actually get a
Ooh.
double stun right there. Going to absolutely clean up, throwing up the pin and the spray. Getting a little toxic already. You love to see it, but it's a 6 gem to 0 lead. Mori Gaming trying to make their way out of the spawn, but Tacos is trying to prevent that from happening. Sunny jumps in on Tacos. He's going to throw him over his shoulder, but not going to be able to kill him. That counter crush for the Jackie coming in so clutch. Pain wins his 1v1 against Melu as well, so not looking the best for Mori Gaming right now. That's going to be 9 gems to 0 already. Sunny does have his hypercharge along with Melu, though. Might be able to kill Pain right here. That shield is coming in so clutch, though. The Primo hyper is live. They are going to get a reset. And actually, Steel is going to get run down a little bit here. He's going to be able to survive while his teammates respawn. But a little bit of a scare for STMN. Overall, definitely still in control of this game.
Out goes with a pull. He should get the kill on a Mel, but there's actually a trade though, which is obviously something that Stamina don't want in that situation. But Stamina have a 6 gem lead, so they aren't really feeling that pressure all that much. But knowing that Sunny has his own super, ooh, nice stun coming in, but Sunny jumps away in the nick of time, but Steel gets taken out. The stuns from the bow mines are going to be on point. Pain gets taken out here, and that's going to give all the gems to the side of Mori Gaming. Stamina in shambles.
I did not see that coming. I'm not going to lie. The bow mines are the MVP right here, though. Sunny's going to recycle his death right here. Taco's going in with the hypercharge. They got to make a play soon, though. I mean, it's just going to be up to Steel and Pain, but Steel likely going to be taken out. And there is going to be nobody touching Alex in the spawn right there. That was kind of broad daylight robbery. They were getting bodied that entire game. I cannot believe they were able to come out on top of that, but that's got to feel good for Mori Gaming, a team that a lot of people probably didn't expect too much from. But I mean, they're good players and they proved it right there. That was a wild game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful to see how aggressive that they can be here and to ensure that, they get their dub there. So honestly, let's see how this one plays out for the side of Stamina, because they obviously need to get this one.
Yep, I mean, we're going to see a similar start coming out again, but Melu's going to be trying to get the pull onto Pain. That Juju gadget is so annoying. That shield keeps her alive for so long, but once again, we're going to see a pretty solid gem lead for the side of STMN right here. Sunny's going to be trying to do something about it, though, pushing up into the enemy spawn right here, at least making Steel focus him instead of picking up gems, which is going to be pretty impactful as Pain is going to be cycling back into the game right now. Alex, once again, looking to try to get some mines out onto the field at some point, but Sunny going in with the jump. He is going to die before being able to kill Steel. Pain moving up here. That's going to be a squad wipe. We do see the bow mines go down. Steel's got to make sure he's watching a step here as he is on 8 gems. He doesn't want to see a repeat of last game, Panda.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big kill, though, coming in from the Jackie. Sunny gets taken out as well. And that's Pain going to be, I guess, a pain on this left-hand side here. But there is a hypercharge by Sunny, which you have to be careful about as Sunny goes in. He's not able to connect his hypercharge just there as Taco is going to go in, finds the kill onto Mel, and that is enough. That's all she wrote. That is Stamina getting their equalizer here at 1 apiece.
That looked like how the first game should have went until those bow mines came in clutch. Oh my goodness, this guy is not even taking it serious. Look at him laid back, absolutely chilling, sleeping on his opponents perhaps. But I mean, it's tied up 1-1. We've still got game 3 here. And I mean, even though it has seemed like STMN's been dominating, I mean, they did lose game number 1. And if you can win 1, you can win 2. I've said it once, I'll say it again. So maybe we're going to be able to see Mori Gaming come out on top here. The triple STMN sprays are kind of looking clean on their side right here. But we're into game number 3. Winner will be taking this first set. Tacos is going to be beefing Sunny and Alex up on this left side. And it looks like Mori is going to come out on top of that. But Steel's going to be getting pretty weak to Alex right here. He's going to get away with that. Pain is winning the 1v1 against the Buster too, which is just not a great look for the side of Mori Gaming. You need your tank to be able to kill that thrower.
Indeed, and now nice pulls coming in from Tacos. He's going to be able to get one. That counter correct gets so much value, allows for Steel to get a little bit of damage to clean up both Mel and the Primo. Now, Alex going to go back onto the mid here. There are going to be some mines here, which don't really disengage any of the walls. And big pulls coming in, jump coming in from Sunny. Not able to find the value onto Tacos that he wanted, and Tacos is ready to take that fight against Sunny whenever possible.
Yep, that's going to be the kill, and that's going to be 9 gems sitting on the head of Steel right here. The countdown has begun. No bow mines to speak of right now, and Pain is just cleaning up his lane so easily every time. Sunny with the hypercharge jump onto Tacos. Might be able to get the kill, but he's going to be going for the gem carrier here with the help of Pain. Steel is going to be able to take him down quite easily, though. With 3 seconds left on the clock, it is looking like set number 1 is going to go the way of STMN. Kind of what we expected after the way game 1 went, but either way, you never know how those gems are going to exchange hands. But either way, it seems like STMN is going to walk away with that. They're going to be off to a pretty solid start here against Mori Gaming.
Indeed. I mean, I feel like they have a lot of confidence. There were moments where I guess you would get frazzled under the situation and under the circumstances, but they weren't really pressured all that much, and they kept true to their purpose there, and they got that dub. So obviously, congratulations to them. But we are going to be going to double swoosh, where obviously things get played quite differently. But I have to mention, like, the draft coming in from Mori Gaming was an interesting one. I felt like there was quite a lot of merit to it, but it didn't work out the way they wanted to in the end.
Yeah, they would have had to do very well onto the Jackie with the Primo pick. I mean, I feel like their win condition was kind of either the Bowmines getting a kill on Steel's Lumi or Primo jumping onto Steel, and it just really never ended up working out like that outside of the first game. So a little bit unfortunate for the side of Mori. I didn't hate the idea with the draft, but I mean, I feel like leaving Lumi open was kind of a death sentence in and of itself. So maybe we'll see Lumi get banned out here. I do like that Gray is finally getting banned. It's nice to see a little bit of a different option here, but moving into double swoosh, once again, one of the grassiest maps in the game. So I feel like a lot of the tankier brawlers are going to be on the table. Gray is definitely going to be on the table still. And I don't really know exactly what to expect, but I think Maury's going to have a little bit of a cleaner draft this time around.
Indeed, we're gonna go into set number two. We're just waiting for the drafts here, but I'm interested to see how this one plays out. I want to see Amber being brought out, but knowing this map, I feel like Amber is gonna be one of those brawlers that you want to ban out. I feel like it's just too pesky, and just imagine the whole entire left side of the map being covered in oil with no way and no recourse for your team. And I feel like that might be one of the reasons why you don't have Amber being brought out in double swoosh at all, because both teams just prefer not to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised to see an Amber ban here, although I would love to see the Hypercharge get some work in here. But besides that, I mean, I feel like the bow could definitely show its face again here. The bow mines can be so impactful. Putting those either just to destroy that grass behind the gem mine or putting them on the gem mine themselves could definitely be pretty impactful. But we see the bans come through. Kenji, Lumi, Lily, Chester, and Amber are going to be our 5 brawlers banned out here. Kenji got double banned. And back to our roots that we expected. The Gray first pick is live. Now, are we going to see a Hank paired up with it again? I wouldn't be surprised, but the Tara is going to be the pick again. Feel like we're seeing the same draft we've seen twice already.
Yeah, I feel like we get a lot more Terra in any of these drafts, at least on this map. I mean, I feel like obviously on this map, if you don't have Amber, Terra seems to be a no-brainer pick here. Jackie coming out for stamina. We've seen how useful Jackie has been specifically in a lot of these matchups here, because we have a lot of brawlers that need to go up and close to personal. And you see a little bit of Tony Chopper on paint screen, but like I said, Jackie is such a great brawler, especially with a counter crush when you have a lot of close oppositions going up to her face. So I feel like it de-incentivizes a lot of picks, and it's a pretty good tank counter here, all things considered. Hank going to be coming out for Mori Gaming next, and I feel like Hank is just very scary, especially once you get your hypercharge. It's hard to really move up. And one great thing about Hank with the Gray is that once you go through the teleporters, your Hank attack doesn't get reset, right? So I think that's another reason why Hank is so viable with this specific synergy in the comp.
Yeah, I mean, it's only the 30th time we've seen it today, the Hank Gray combination. I'm a little surprised that people keep on letting it happen over and over again, but I like the comp from Mori a lot. The Hank Gray obviously speaks for itself, and then pairing Janet up with that, it's a good counter to Tara. It can fly away from any ill-advised situation right there, so it could be pretty useful. But we see STMN finishing off their draft with a Lu. Definitely going to be trying to put that onto the Hank, deal a little bit more damage to them, maybe charge to that hypercharge and be able to make a game-changing play. But I do believe that we'll probably see the Lu versus the Gray in the mid. I think that Mori's going to want to put the Janet onto that Tara lane, and then the Hank and the Jackie are kind of just going to do what the Hank and the Jackie do. But we are going into game number 1 of set number 2. We have STMN with the 1-0 lead right now, but Steel is going to be playing the mid on the Lu right here. Sunny's getting a high gadget up, going to get a ton of value from that. With the help of Alex, they're going to be able to pick off a kill right there. But Tacos is biding his time up here with his super. The Gray portal is already down, maybe a little bit further back than we would have expected. That might not be ideal for Melu on the fish.
Indeed, you want to be hugging that bottom wall as much as possible if you're going to be on the fish there. So a little bit confusing as to the positioning and the placement here. Taco's going into the hypercharge. He's a little scared, a little testy about how he wants to play this one. Doesn't want to give the fish its own super back, you know?
Yeah, I can't blame him for that. Payne's going to hit a solid pull, but Sunny gets away with it on 32 HP. He's going to take to the skies, but likely not going to be able to do much more than that. Landing in danger as well, but Taka's with a double pull, and he's actually going to get another pull as well, and that's going to be all of the gems falling into STMN's hands. They are split between all three players, but with Payne having that Tara hypercharge, this is looking like a pretty insurmountable lead. I mean, Payne doesn't even have to survive anymore, so he can kind of just run in there, body block for his team, gets 2 pulls off. That's probably going to do it for game number 1.
Yeah, that was a debilitating gravity coming in from that Terra. That just polished it off for them.
That shirt is so cool. So I love to see it from Tacos right there. But STMN with a pretty clean game right there. They're going to be taking them to game point already, or to match point already. So, I mean, we're going to have to see something from Mori Gaming. They're going to have to play a little bit better. I think that the Gray Portal probably should have been up in a little bit of a higher positioning right there, just to give the Hank an ability to make a good game-changing play right there. But Payne's popping his vision right there. Going to be facing Melu. Steel is going to be picking up these gems as Tacos is just making a break for it in the spawn.
Ooh, Tacos finds 1 kill with a counter crit. Finds a second on Alex too. That was unexpected, but you know, you're gonna take those whenever you get it. Drop the base on the back lines here. The kill onto Tacos has been confirmed on the right hand side. Payne going up against the tank player there, the Hank, and he has a gravity. He could go for a double or triple pull, but I don't think he realizes that he can't go for it. Now he misses all 3 of them, and that was unfortunate. Sunny forced to take flight here to avoid Tacos altogether.
Yeah, Payne might have got a little bit greedy right there, but Sunny's going to land in an aggro spot. He is going to be able to pick off a kill on Payne. He's sliming these shots from Steel as well. Great juice from Sunny so far, and he's going to be able to be in a strong position. But either way, it's still 8 gems to 0. STMN, it is their game to lose, especially with Tacos going in. Jackie Hypercharge is going to take out Hank. He picks up a gem while he's at it, and I don't think he minds going down here. It's really just about wasting time. As Payne pops vision, he's got his Hypercharge full. I expect him to let it rip pretty soon here, but it looks like it's going to leave his hands now. He's only going to catch Melu in that, but Alex gets slowed as well. And that's going to be 10 gems in the hand of Steel. Unless Sunny's able to get a reset here, this is probably going to be game over.
Oh,
nope,
he almost manages. And that should be Stamina taking this one. That is also them on match point. So I think that is done and dusted. And we see the match end screen from Payne.
Indeed we do. Payne was absolutely chilling that game, maybe a little bit sleeping on his opponents, but hey, if you get away with it, who am I to tell you no? So he's just going to be chilling in bed, walking away with that W. Tacos got the drippiest shirt of the competition on. I knew he wouldn't have lost in that shirt. How could he? So that's going to be our game number 3 of the day, going into the hands of STMN. They're going to join Gadget Spam and LLC Esports as our undefeated teams throughout the first 3 games of the day. We've got 3 more games coming up for you, though.
Indeed. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be taking a small break of about 3 to 4 minutes, and we'll come back for Crumbs versus Motomami's FA. And like you mentioned, the winners that we have so far are LSE Esports, Gadget Spam, and STMN Esports. The people who losing today were Space Station Gaming, FA, and Mori Gaming. So unfortunately for them, but we will be back in 3 minutes for Crumbs versus Motomami's, Pioneers versus 919, and Tribe Gaming versus Code OG. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR 2025 NA Brawl Circuit. It is match day number 1 of the league phase. We have finished 50% of our matches. That is 3 of them for today. And next up on the docket is going to be Crumbs versus Moto Mommies FA. And it's a different Moto Mommies. We've had like probably 20 iterations with different rosters at this point here. But I only know Crumbs from being reply guys on Twitter. But I played with Zemp before, and I think that he's a pretty good player. But they're going to go up against Moto Mommies, and this iteration of the team has Diego Gamer, who is a part of the squad that is going to the Brawl Cup. He was just released by BC Gaming. We also have Rafiki and Sam. So I honestly feel that Crumbs kind of have their work cut out for them here, but I might be off base.
Yeah, I think that these are both teams with a lot of potential. They're both filled with like some pretty solid players here. A lot of ranked warriors. Actually, shout out to Rafiki for carrying me in ranked yesterday. Big ups to the guy. But I think that these are both two teams that could be very well. They could be good teams if they like merge together and play with good synergy right here. But obviously, they don't have the most experience under their belt as like full complete teams right here. So I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit of hectic gameplay. Stop me if you've heard this before, but I feel like it's going to be a wild experience with these NA gem grab games. I think that we'll probably see a lot of the similar strategies that we've seen in the past. Maybe Vegeta's onto something with the Rosa strategy being the new meta as well. But I think that these are two teams that will think outside of the box, go for some crazy comfort picks, and I'm just looking forward to see who comes out on top here. I think we got a good one.
Indeed. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one does pan out. We have the same maps. It's going to be Hard Rock Mine, Double Swoosh, Last Stop. So we're going to have the same 3 maps for the rest of the matches today as well. So do not get that twisted. For first up, it's going to be Hard Rock Mine. I am interested in seeing what different styles these teams bring to the table, because we do know a little bit about Rafiki and Diego Gamer from competitive and the third-party scenes that we have in, I guess, the esports circuit. But not heard enough about. I mean, I know about Ormi, I know about Benny, Zemp, and Falcon, but I don't know enough about them from a competitive aspect. So I mean, I'm curious to see how this one plays out for them.
Yeah, well, I know that they beat me in Matcherino pretty easily, so that at least means that they don't suck at the game. I think that they're pretty solid players, but I definitely think Moto Mami does have the advantage as far as like competitive tournament experience goes. But you know, sometimes the rookies come onto the scene and make a splash, so hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of that action coming from Crumbs here today. But overall, I feel like they're going to be pulling out some insane strategies. I mean, we've already seen some wild stuff that I wouldn't have expected. I thought it would get boring seeing the same maps over and over again, but oh boy was I mistaken, because each of these teams have different crazy strategies, some like duo synergies that have been able to work. So I'm curious what duos these two teams are going to be able to bring out here. Maybe we'll get to see more of the same. Maybe we'll see something we haven't even seen yet, like Patchy on the crab. Even though it didn't work, I'm still going to glaze. But either way.
I mean, that's a valid glaze. He did kind of bring out that crab, and like it's something that we haven't seen being brought out much in the other regions just yet. I feel like people haven't embraced the crab chaos just yet, but there are reasons why, right? I mean, till you get level 3, that crab's kind of useless. So the fact that he was able to get it work once or even twice was kind of crazy. So I'm here for the unorthodox drafts that you can possibly get, and I see that, you know, the teams of, say, less repute might have different ideas to bring to the table in terms of the draft, because a lot of people would have written BC Gaming off last year, right? They'd be like, oh, these people, we know them, but they don't seem to have great results, so why do we really need to rate them highly? But this year they just completely, you know, brought out something new, and they were able to adapt on the fly, and I feel like that's still happening in other third-party tournaments. So I think that adaptability is such an important part of the game. So let's see how this one does play out for both these teams here.
Yeah, I think that if you're the less experienced team, then you kind of know that you have to pull out some of these crazier comps. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Crumbs pulling out something diabolical that we haven't seen before. It is always rare to see a brawler that you haven't seen yet in competitive play, but nonetheless, we've seen it once today. The Rosa was another crazy pick that we saw twice that I didn't really expect. So you never know what it could be. I feel like we could see a couple of brawlers that maybe we'll get to see the Griff hypercharge. Maybe I'm just holding out hope for nothing here, but still the fact that nobody has taken the Griff hypercharge once is a little bit crazy to me. Obviously, these aren't the best maps for Griff or the best modes for Griff, but I feel like especially into like a Hank comp, it could be pretty solid. I'm still holding that hope that we'll get to see one of those, but
Yeah, I mean, it'll always be fun to see something like a Hank. But just to call back to the last set that we had so many back and forths. So I want to see some more of that. I like to see those resets happening, especially in Gem Grab. I mean, what's the point of Gem Grab if you're not going to go down the wire? We're going to go into our draft here in Hard Rock Mine. The bans are going to be Ash, Jackie, Rosa, Chester, Lumi, and Kenji. First pick for Motomami is going to be the Gray. And honestly, we've talked about Gray enough, I think.
don't have too much to add. He'll get his portals up. He'll pair it with a tank. Will it be a Hank? Finally, somebody is taking the Hank away from the Gray. It's about time that we see that. I really like that from Crumbs. Makes a lot of sense to me. So they're gonna take the Hank out of the pocket of Moto Mommies. Definitely a pretty solid option there. So I'm throwing up a little bit of nonsense over there. Unfortunately, we don't get Rafiki's camera here, but we got the Hank. We've got the Tara coming in from Crumbs. So pretty standard brawlers, but I still do think that it could be quite useful there. I just mostly appreciate that somebody's finally trying to stop this Gray Hank synergy, Panda.
Indeed, Uncle Zemp with that funny picture of Benny was pretty funny there. That was so funny.
Oh, the
Anyway,
disrespect coming through.
I mean, it's your own teammate, right? You gotta roll with those punches. But Daryl's going to be coming out for Motomamis. I feel like that's kind of an answer, maybe, to the Hank. I'm not 100% sure about whether that's going to be really popping off or not. But we had the Buster coming out. I think Buster certainly is a bit more tanky and a little bit more viable in terms of being an answer there. But we don't have an out-and-out mid for the side of Crumbs. But I feel like they want the... Okay, they go for the Stew instead. Interesting.
That is a little bit interesting. I mean, Stu doesn't have the most damage, so maybe not be the greatest into double tank, but the one thing he does have is maneuverability, so it's going to be hard to take him down when he's dashing away. We're going to have Zep manning the Stu in the middle here. We do see a 2-1 gem lead on the side of Crumb so far, but not really too much else to speak of. Diego's just going to be working for his pull here to get his tanks in a good position, but the pull is going to be valid from Sam right there. Zemp is able to get out before Diego connects the gray pull, so well played by Zemp to get out of a tough situation, but definitely still a pretty scary start for the game for Crumbs. I feel like they've definitely got their work cut out for them. This comp from Motomami's does seem pretty solid so far.
Yeah, indeed. It's frankly scary and menacing the way Diego is with his gray. Whenever you get those pulls in, especially on the squishier options, certainly scary to go up against. And Benny doing a big number on his opposition here. Big gravity coming in. Double kill on the side of Mori Gaming? No, Motomami's FA.
Yeah, that was a great job by Banny, just kind of wasting time, allowing Ormi to get up there with his pull to be able to capitalize on the chaos he caused. Ormi has his hyper pull as well. It is going to miss, though, due to Rafiki teleporting out of that bad situation, but still, we see 8 gems on the side of Crumbs right now. Sam is going to be teleporting in, trying to cause a little bit of chaos, but here goes Banny with that hypercharge. He gets pretty solid connections right there. Rafiki's going to roll through the teleporter. Maybe not intentional, maybe it was. Who am I to say? But Rafiki's going for Zemp now. He's going to be pulled by Ormi. And we do see him go down right there. Zemp's going to be able to pick up the 9th gem. And Banqueequee's going to take the 10th. So it's going to be 10 gems countdown on the board for Crumbs. But Banny has to survive this.
Indeed. I mean, the gems are split. That's not the best situation here, as Sam is going in with his hypercharge here to get the kill there. Gray is going to go in, has a hypercharge. It's a little bit more damage, but not going to be enough to secure a kill here, as the side of Crumbs take the dub. I'm going to, yeah, we have to update the overlay.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's a little tough when they don't have the names in there as well. Hey, come on. He's got a hat for you, Panda. You got to read it.
Crumbs.
I love that. I love the costume. I love the uniform, I should say. My apologies. The uniform coming in for the side of Crumbs, but good start for them. I mean, it seems like they do have the comp here, but Sam hits a double pull. Somehow nobody goes down from that. Definitely pretty weak from the side of Zemp and Banny right there, but Ormi's working towards getting his first pull of the game. Diego does get that portal up, but Zemp is going to be sliming on him. He does take himself out, though, due to Sam's shield. And now Banny's going to be left all by himself, trying to delay this gem pickup from Diego, who has his hypercharge online quite early into the game. Ormi cleans it up, but it's not looking like the best start for Crumbs here.
Indeed, it's looking quite like the bun start here. Sam going in with the hypercharge, should be able to get the kill. No, he gets taken out instead. And that is unfortunate for the side of Motomami's FA, but they have such a good setup here with the portals here. I feel like it's very difficult for Crumbs to get something going here unless Ormi really pops off with his hypercharges. Rafiki gonna go down here. Ormi has his hypercharge. Can't opt to use it, but wants to get value, wants to get double, wants to get probably triple, obviously. But he goes for the single pull. He goes for Deo Gamer, is able to secure a kill here on this right-hand side. Sam gonna go in. Another gravity on Sam here. He gets taken out. Rafiki not able to pick up all of the gems. He tries, but Rafiki gets taken out by Zep here. But Deo Gamer finds a double kill. He might be taken out. Bakwiki able to find another kill, but he's gonna be low himself. Can he survive this interaction with Sam? He gets a super online at the right time. Hypercharge to be popped by Sam. Gets taken out. Bakwiki is just completely alone. But now Rafiki gonna be going in. He gets his hypercharge. He gets his roll. He gets to reset onto Bakwiki. And there are all these gems being picked up by Deo Gamer. He's still alive. And the red carpet being rolled out by Sam for his teammate. All the gems for Motomami's FA. Highway robbery. Crumbs are in shambles.
I don't know how Banny got out of there for so long, but either way, Rafiki just had roll after roll after roll, and that's going to be enough chaos to be able to get Motomami's the W there. Rafiki clutched up so incredibly hard after Banny clutched up for the side of Crumbs, but it looks like Motomami's is going to be tying up our first set right here. So going into game number 3, we've seen 2 very different games so far. A lot of hectic stuff going down right there, but Rafiki with that Daryl was just making so many good plays right there. Absolutely crazy stuff. No idea what's going to be in store for us in game number 3. That was electric.
That was crazy, and I hope to see more of the same as we go into this third game of this first set here. Because I don't want a piece, obviously, and it's going to go down to the wire here because it is a best of 3, so we don't have options for teams that, you know, end up losing 2 sets in the trot or something like that. Nice pull coming in. Army almost gets taken out, but manages to survive there. On the right-hand side, you see Rafiki going in for the roll. Finds a kill onto Army, huge. Finds a kill onto Zep as well, and is going to be able to pick up those gems. Not the best person to pick up those gems, but I think he's going to be fine, all things considered. And already the portals are going to be put down by Motomami's FA, and they're in a great spot. Good setup already.
Rafiki's going insane. He rolls out of that pull from Ormi. He does still go down and deliver 2 gems, but not the worst situation at all. It's looking pretty good for Motomami so far, but Banny does get that kill, and it seems like the gems are evening out, although we do see Diego has his portal onto the gem mine. Definitely going to cause a ton of chaos from the side of Motomami's, especially as we see Rafiki with the hypercharge. He goes in onto Ormi and to Banny. Probably not going to be able to get any kills here, but he does fully cycle his rolls out. Ormi has his hypercharge pull, though. Not sure if he's saving it for now, but it looks like he does not want to rip it yet. Maybe waiting for the shield to go away. It's obviously a little bit hard to hit those Tara pulls when the enemy can teleport out or roll at any time. It's really hard to pull a Daryl right there. We see Rafiki roll out of it quite easily. Banny's going to be going in. He might be able to catch Sam, but he does teleport back to safety. We do see 8 gems on the side of Motomami's to the 6 on the side of Crumbs, but I mean, Zemp is going to be in a tough spot here with Sam. If they're able to kill Sam here, though, they're going to have a countdown.
Yeah, indeed, and they're going to go all in on Sam. On the other side, though, there are kills being confirmed onto Ormi. Sam is still very much low, and a kill here is going to reset it. That's exactly what it does. But control, though, on the side of Motomami's FA. So it's going to be hard, though, for Crumbs to compete here. But there is a gravity that Ormi can opt to use. I think he's going to be waiting for his hypercharge. Doesn't want to force the issue unless it's absolutely required.
I think mostly he just doesn't want to try to pull Rafiki because he's rolled out of every single Tara pull that's been fired his way so far. But we have the first countdown, and Rafiki goes down, so that's going to be looking pretty good for Crumbs. They're able to get that kill there too. 9 gems to 11. I don't think they have enough time to reset. Diego knows that he goes in, but that's going to be an Amazon Prime gem delivery right there. Crumbs is going to walk away with the first game. That was absolutely insane stuff, but we have Crumbs taking a 1-0 lead. A little bit of an upset alert right here. He took off his Crumbs hat. Very sad to see that, but either way, good start for Crumbs.
Yeah, great start for Crumbs, honestly. I thought that was going to go with the way of Motomami's, especially after the second game, but, you know, at the end, they were able to clutch up and ensure that they forced the issue and, you know, got the dub.
Yeah, very well played. There's definitely some pretty crazy stuff going down in general. I'm expecting more of the same in Double Swoosh, but I mean, the gray picks have just been a constant that we've seen so far throughout our first day of Gem Grab. The portals have just been so impactful, especially paired up with the tank options, especially that Hank, which obviously we didn't see them paired up on the same team this time, but definitely something that's still going to be on the play in the field of play for our Double Swoosh set here. Once again, we could see the Amber come into play as well, but I feel like I did really like the draft that Crumbs was able to cook right there. We've seen a lot of good Tara plays too, even though he did miss a couple trying to pull Rafiki with his Daryl rolls. I mean, I still feel like the Tara was a solid shout. I would definitely be not surprised to see it picked up once more time.
Yeah, I think that the Terra was a really great pick all around. I feel like that's one of the reasons why they did end up taking that set. Otherwise, Rafiki is Daryl was kind of rolling through them despite the Terra pick. I feel like adding that extra roll to Daryl just makes him that much more viable and
Mm.
malleable, so he can be used in a lot more situations than you previously thought of. As we go into our draft once more on Double Swoosh, the bans are going to be Hank, Lily, Kenji, Grey Buster, and Amber. First pick for Motomamis, opting to go for Lumi here.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, she's still a top 3 brawler. She still usually does get banned out, so always a bit of a surprise to not see her banned out. But it seems like Crumbs was kind of focused on banning out some of the more aggressive, oppressive brawlers. Obviously, Lily and Kenji are two of the best assassins in the game. Hank is probably the best tank, so I'm not surprised to see those bans come through. The Lumi pick should be pretty solid though, but as always on this map, we are going to see the Tara fall through, even though we do have a Pierce brawler on the side of Lumi. I feel like the Tara pick still could be pretty solid if she's able to start cycling those pulls out. They pair it up with a Janet as well, another pretty solid Tara counter. So decent comp going down from the side of Crumb so far. I feel like Motomami's probably is likely to go a little bit more aggressive here, but we have 4 of the better aggro options in the game banned out. Finally, a gray ban as well. Always feels good to see that brawler out of the way, considering how much we've seen him already. But draft going back to Motomami's, they're going to have 2 picks here. The Lumi is a good first pick too, because you can kind of play lane or mid depending on what your comp needs. They grab a Carl as well, who's kind of a similar brawler right there. I feel like Carl and Lumi kind of operate in a similar manner, but they're both pretty solid in the Tara, both pretty solid in the Janet. I like the comp that Motomami's is cooking up right here, especially if they get an aggro option.
Indeed, they have like a lot of different ideas here in their draft, which can work to their benefit. And Chester just rounds out the composition even more. So I like this. Chester, Carl, Lumi. You have the fire. You have the explosive damage from Chester. You have the control that Lumi can present, and obviously the stuns as well. On the other side, you can't go wrong with Janet and Terra either, because obviously with the Amber being banned out, Terra is viable, and obviously the gravity is something which can change the fortunes of a team completely. The Janet with the drop the base gadget allows you to scout out the grass, so you know exactly where people are, and you aren't confused about your positioning at all as a team. And Stu, I think that Stu is a pretty decent shout. It's great as a duelist, and as a 1v1 brawler, it's probably one of the better brawlers all around. But the breakthrough gadget's also something that could be useful, but more so the speed zone gadget.
Yeah, I definitely like the double turret strategy that Crumbs is employing here. They've got the vision turret, they've got the speed turret, and then they just have a Tara as well. Tara's going to do Tara things, trying to get that pull. I like the Chester pick from the side of Motomami's, but it doesn't really counter anything that Crumbs brought to the table. But we're going into set number 2 right here. Crumbs is up 1-0 right now. We see the Lumi gadget being employed nice and early. Rafiki's going to use that to hit a fire gadget as well. Ormy's likely going to drop as well as Banny. So it's just going to be Zemp on the Stew kind of hanging out right here with all of the gems. He's going to get taken down swiftly though. Diego's cooking on the Chester. Rafiki's cooking on the Carl. This is full positioning for the side of Motomami's.
Indeed, he goes for the gems as well, gets it, gets a cheeky shot off, gets a fire off on a Zemp as well because of the stun from Sam, and it's a complete wipe by Motomami's FA. Crumbs kind of not even able to pick up any crumbs here.
Yeah, no Crumbs to be spoken of as of right now. Ormy's popping down his pets. We have seen Taras go with mostly the vision gear on, or the vision gadget on this map, but Zemp is getting super wiggly here, slamming around this wall. Sam is going to be surviving for the time being, and Zemp is also going to walk away with that interaction with his life, but Rafiki sitting on 8 gems. This is looking very clean for Motomami so far. Banny does get the kill with his Janet fly, but Rafiki picks off Zemp, and that's the 2 gems that they need right there. He's not going to take any chances popping a hyper super for that. Ormy's not going to be able to capitalize on that, and it seems like Motomami's is probably going to walk away with the game number 1 victory here.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with some of the things, and yeah, he gets taken out almost immediately there. That was a little bit unfortunate. Countdown is with Motomami's here, but there is a long path between them and the gems for Crumbs, and I don't really think they're up to the task because Zemp is low. He gets taken out, so does his teammate, and that's going to be game number 1 for Motomami's. They didn't really stress or struggle from the very beginning here.
Yeah, this is our second time seeing Lumi today, and the second time that Lumi has dominated, so seems like a brawler that, even though she did get a slight nerf, nowhere near enough in my opinion, she's still going to be kind of a must draft with that first pick if she's not banned out. That's what we're learning here today. I mean, she has not had a loss yet, and it seems like every single time she's employed, it's just kind of dominant from her, so expecting a little bit more of that. Sam has been doing a great job manning the Lumi so far. But Zemp is going to be playing the mid this time against Rafiki, trying to get a little bit of action here. Ormi versus Diego on the right side of the map is going pretty even so far. Zemp is taken out by Sam, though. Rafiki, once again, with all the gems on his head. Not a single gem to be spoken of from the side of Crumbs, but at least Ormi stays alive. He's going to be able to cause a little bit of pressure with his positioning here.
Ooh, nice double stuff coming in from Ormi. Able to get one, able to get the second as well. Zemp is going to be fried a little bit. He might get taken out, and that's going to force Ormi to pick up some of these gems here. But a pretty good lead for the side of Crumbs here, as they have 6-2. And they do also have a hypercharge from Ormi, so that's something else to think about. As Ormi did get a double suck earlier, which is what allowed them and facilitated them to get so many gems in the first place.
Yeah, Ormi is definitely the lifeblood that Crumbs needed right now. He's cooking pretty hard on this Tara right here, but Rafiki's going to be trying to stop that. Not really much he can do about it. He's just going to have to use that super to get out of a bad situation. We see Zemp and Ormi kind of splitting the gems, assuming that's going to continue, as Zemp is going to continue to play in this mid. But Diego's trying to beef Ormi on the right side of the map. Zemp gets lit on fire again. Rafiki has been dialed in with those Carl gadgets so far, but it looks like we're going to see the Janet hypercharge employed here, trying to take down the Carl with the gems. Ormi is going to be chilling on his 7 gems back here, but Banny is going to be able to get that kill. Is he going to be able to get out, though? That is the question. So far, he's in a pretty tricky spot, but Ormi cleans up over there. And although Banny does die, we see Zemp pick up the last 3 gems. And now if Zemp and Ormi survive, this game is going to be going the way of Crumbs, forcing a match point.
Indeed. 11 seconds left for the countdown to start here, as Rafiki going up against Zemp, not able to find Zemp just yet. Zemp is going to be taken out by the fire damage. No, the Gasso heal comes online and keeps him alive. I think that was probably one of the clutchest Gasso heals I've ever seen.
Yeah, they definitely needed that. I do not want to see what would have happened if the countdown resetted there for Crumbs. I feel like that would have been a tough situation for them to kind of get their footing back, but overall well played. And this is the first loss we've seen from the Lumi, I believe. So overcoming that broken brawler with that Gasso heal ability to just stay alive. Very good stuff on the side of Crumbs. But we have our game point here now. If Crumbs is able to walk away with this, they're going to sweep 2-0. So, I mean, we're going to have to see Moto Mommies lock in pretty hard here. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Banny's the only lone survivor as of right now. He's going to be picked off by Rafiki, though, who does miss that Carl gadget. But overall, still fantastic positioning for Moto Mommies. 4 gems on the head as well.
Yeah, I like the positioning from Rafiki. He's been using those gadgets quite effectively to zone people into his mid-brawler on the other side. So he's been doing a good job of, like, creating a line of attraction towards Sam, allowing him to get so much more value that he obviously would have got otherwise. Once more, they're trying to force the issue, trying to get a little bit of control, but this desperation is allowing Motomami's to execute their game plan according to exactly what they want, rather than playing into what Crumbs are trying to bring to the field.
Yeah, it looks like they did come out with a lane switch here. I mean, they have Sam playing mid now. Diego is going to get pulled, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He has his hypercharge online as well. All 10 gems sitting on the gem carrier with the Lumi as well. So it's going to be a tall task for Crumbs to get a reset here. Zemp's trying all he can, but Ormi's moving up solo with no pull online as well. Looks like that's going to do it. We're going to see Moto Mommies taking set number 2. And for the 4th time in a row, all 4 games have gone to set 3. And this is going to be no different. Going into set 3 on last stop.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to close it all out, but you know, this is probably what Motomami's wanted, getting to have another shot at a dub here today. So I feel like both the teams played well, but felt like Motomami's played it a lot cleaner. They played it together as a team, and the communication was on point, which I can't really say the same for Motomami. Sorry, for Crumbs. I keep forgetting Crumbs' name for some reason.
It's a little tough when they don't all have it in the name. Some of these newer, smaller teams, definitely not with the same type of branding that we usually saw. But either way, we're going into set 3 on last stop right here. Once again, this is going to be the gem grab map we see today with the most range. So a little bit less of a gray map than we're used to. Some snipers could finally make their way back in here. I know Angela's a pretty decent shout on this map. I know Gus is a pretty decent mid on this map as well. So hoping to see a little bit more range here, a little bit of a different composition than we're used to with the Hard Rock Mine and the double swoosh meta. But overall, what are you looking out for here, Panda?
I'm just looking out for some good close games, you know. Honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like that's something that everybody's gonna say, but let's see. I would like to see a lot of back and forth and resets and whatnot. And I feel like the best brawlers that could give you something like that would be, say, a Terra, or maybe even those Hanks with the Greys. The Hank great combination. It's so annoying to see, but at the same time, it causes so many of these back and forth plays that I don't exactly mind it because it's exciting sometimes.
Can't disagree with you on that, but we've got our draft booted up here for last stop. Last spot, interesting typo there. But either way, we've got the bans in Lily, Kenji, Lumi, Bell, Buster, and Hank. So first time I believe seeing Bell banned out today, and we do see Moto Mommies going with the Janet first pick. Also looks like Rafiki got his camera on, so love to see that. Looking handsome as always, King. But we've got the Janet first pick. Should be pretty solid there. She can play mid if she doesn't get outranged too hard. Mostly going to be used as a lane though, and for the first time, we also see the Finks coming into play. So a pretty solid tank counter there. He's got a lot of utility that you can use in a lot of different ways. So I don't dislike the pick. I do feel like it's hasn't been picked for a reason more than likely, but we've seen some of these crazier picks work out. Paired up with a Gus, it could be pretty successful as well. I don't really mind either of these drafts.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's like a little premature for me because I'm not a student of the draft as you are here, but yeah, I like the Janet, I like the Gus and the Finks. I feel like they all satisfy a lot of the different niches that they are assigned to. Chester's coming out. I feel like Chester, great for addressing that last pick from Crumbs, especially if it's going to be one of those tankier options. But obviously on a map like this, you seldom see tanks being brought out unless they have support of some kind, and that's somewhere where Gus can give you a little bit of support with that shield for the side of Crumbs, because right now they have a lot of sustain, but they don't have out and out aggression, and that's something that they might suffer against.
Yeah, I do think that the Gus is probably the cleanest mid on this map. I feel like he's been used pretty well. Obviously, it didn't work out too well for Bobby, but we're going to see finally a little bit of aggro coming from the side of Moto Mommies. They have the Ollie as well as the Chester, which is a pretty solid Ollie counter. So I like the strategy there, taking away the Chester from the other team. I definitely think they have a pretty solid comp here, but the one thing that I'm a little bit suspicious about is that they are going to have Janet playing the mid against the Gus, which is going to be a pretty significant range disadvantage for the Janet. So she's going to have to make sure that she's not getting tapped up. Obviously, one of those kooky poppers can just absolutely change the entire course of the game. So Gus is going to have to be landing those shots. Janet's going to have to be careful. They also add a Pearl there. So going for a little bit of a tank counter option, I think that is pretty solid. First time, once again, that we're seeing Pearl or Finks today. So a little bit of an out there comp from Crumbs, but I think it makes sense considering the comp that Moto Mommies has brought to the table. Going to be devoting a lot of attention to the Ollie here.
Yeah, it seems like the Mommies have the better comp here. But I don't know. I feel like, you know, Pearl can also cook considering the fact that there is the Finks and the Gus. So I wouldn't put it against the Crumbs here. I feel like there is merit to the composition, though there's a lot more support coming in for Moto Mommies as we go into our first game of this third set. We are tied at one apiece between Crumbs and Moto Mommies.
Yep, and we're going to be seeing Ormi taking some heavy fire on the left side. First blood of the game, drawn by Diego, who is cleaned up by Zemp on the Gus right there. So we see Banny on the Pearl, trying to pinch out Rafiki with Zemp, but it's not going the greatest so far. They do eventually combine for that kill, but we still do see a 4-1 gem lead for the side of Moto Mommies. Sam is just kind of waiting for his teammates to cause that pressure so he can move up without getting tapped up, but Rafiki's going to have a tough time pushing back into this lane against Banny. Same could go for Ormi against Diego, though. He finally does get that Fink super up, so should clear out a little bit of space. Banny does get hypnotized. That's going to be a big kill for Rafiki. The grass break should be pretty good for the side of Crumbs, though. Definitely going to have a little bit more visibility than they did before. Kooky Popper doesn't get the kill on Sam, but Ormi does get the kill on Diego. And although the gems are in the favor of Moto Mommies right now, I still don't really hate this positioning for Crumbs yet.
Rafiki playing amazingly well on this right-hand side. Been a big nuisance for Benny and Zemp to really contend with, and that's allowed his teammates to get a little bit more pressure in the mid, but they haven't been able to pick up the gems, so all the distraction from Rafiki really hasn't been giving them that much of a value here.
Yeah, I mean, Rafiki is definitely causing a lot of mayhem here just by existing, but he is finally pinched out. Banny's going to be breaking a lot of those walls, but should go a long way. We do see Sam's in a little bit of a tricky spot right here. He obviously has his fly online, so if he does end up getting weak, he can get away from that situation. But seems like Crumbs has taken a little bit of an advantage in the mid positioning here. Rafiki's going to go down to fantastic tap from Zemp, but Diego cleans up on the left side. Gus Hyper's going live, and that's going to force out the fly from Sam, who does have 9 gems on the head right now. But Diego's still up, and Rafiki's actually going to be able to go in, get that 10th gem, get away with the kill, and jump out of the bad situation. Banny pops his hypercharge, but seems like it might be a little bit too little too late. Ormy's trying to move up, Zemp is trying to move up, but that's going to be a Chester bomb straight to the face. And it seems like Motomami's does have a pretty free course to retreat back here. That's going to be game number 1 going to Motomami's. Crumbs has to win this next one. They're on match point here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy the way that they were playing this, and Monomamis have completely shut down the Crumb side. I feel like Zemp kind of forced the issue with his hypercharge, which didn't pay dividends the way that they were expected. We're to go into the second game here. Off the third set, Motomamis are on match point here. A win here is going to cement their position as the winners of this matchup, and let's see how this plays out for them.
The jump is going to connect onto Banny, so that's going to be probably an early takedown for the side of Motomami's. Indeed it is. And they're going to be pushed up very, very high on this right side right here. Ormy's opting to not even take too much smoke up with them, but Zemp and Banny are coming back in. They've got to get some good pinches out here. Diego's super weak. Zemp cleans him up. Good tap right there. He's finally going to pick up a gem for his team right here. That looks like a 3-2 gem lead for the side of Crumbs. Van Quiqui's going to get that shield as well. Hitting a good gadget onto Rafiki, who is likely going to survive that burn, but not without taking a good amount of damage. Diego's taking his time up there with that Chester super as well, looking to push in right here, but Zemp's holding it down for now. Crumbs is definitely in a superior position so far.
Indeed, Diego going on the right-hand side against Bankiki. Ooh, Rafiki getting the kill on Ormi is going to be huge, in fact, and that's going to give the gems to the other side here. 6-3 is the gem line, but the kill onto Diego Gamer is going to allow Bankiki to go up on the right-hand side along with this one little super on the mid. Allows Zemp to go up to the middle, get a little bit more gems for his team, but it is 7-4 in terms of the gem line, so I don't think Motomamis have been pressured all that much here. Bankiki going in for the fire damage onto Diego. He's going to be burnt down a little bit. Hypercharge being popped. Now Sam has a super, is going to fly to ensure that he doesn't take damage from Bankiki. On the other side, though, we see Ollie actually getting the kill and jumping away. Gets taken out. Bankiki able to pick up those gems here. They just need 1 or 2 more gems and they can start the countdown.
Yeah, not ideal to have those 2 gems on Rafiki's head, so probably better to get them out earlier rather than later so we can go back to playing aggressive, but Sam does pick up the 8th gem. We see Banquiqui with 8 gems on the left side. That's going to be a trade over there between the Finks and the Chester, so pretty even matchup so far. Sam is moving up in anticipation of this next gem spawn. Zemp is doing all he can to keep him away from that. The Kooky Popper connects. That's going to be the 10th gem falling into Zemp's hands. They can't fully back away yet, though. There is still enough time for a natural reset. So Sam's going to be going for that gem. He oversteps a little bit, though. He had to get it, but still, either way, it's going to be a lot of gems falling into the hands here. We do get the 10-10 reset, though. Well played by Diego and Rafiki to combine right there. And now we have the Janet hypercharge. This could be a game changer. Going straight for Zemp. Rafiki goes in as well. And we have 9 gems on both teams right now. Who's going to pick up these 2 gems back here in the spawn?
Well, it has to be Banquiqui, but the thing is that there are going to be enough gems spawned in for the side of Motomamis if Diego is able to give them enough room here. And that's what Crumbs are going to be afraid of. Ooh, Hypercharge connects. They get the kill onto Rafiki. They get the kill onto Sam as well. A few more gems going to be picked up by Banquiqui. 11 seconds left. And now they need to get the kill on Banquiqui. Otherwise, it's basically over for Motomamis.
Yeah, the 15 gems is the magic number, but we're going to see them make a team push right here. Rafiki's using his super to go in, but it's too little too late. His teammate falls behind him as well. So there we go. We see Crumbs taking the game right there. And I believe we're moving on to double match point now. So the next winner takes all. They're going to move to 1-0 as the loser falls to 0-1. So high stakes right here for our last game of Gem Grab. We've seen some pretty hectic options going down so far. I feel like there's been a lot of gem delivery. This game was pretty intense with the resets too, but we're queuing it back up, getting into game number 3. The winner is going to win the whole set.
Indeed, double match point means sudden death, and it's going to be down. It's going to be down to this for all the marbles, and let's see which team is up to the task here as Diego Gamer goes down to Ormi with a little bit of help from Zemp, just peppering some of these shots here once more. Rafiki actually going in for the jump here, almost gets the better off Banquiqui, but Zemp is able to help his teammate get those kills there at the end.
Sam's taking some heavy fire here, and Ormi connects onto Diego with his middle shot right there, doing a ton of damage on the Finks. Rafiki's enduring heavy fire as well. And this game is going very well for Crumbs. Don't want to speak too soon, but they are definitely in superior position right now. This is the first time I've really seen Motomami trapped back like this. They've had the spawn trap going with Rafiki on the aggression, but so far, this is the first time they've been on the defensive foot right here. Sam's moving up with the help of his turret to tank, but still he's definitely going to be losing out on this range right here. Rafiki's taking a lot of damage too. Good teleport from Ormi to get out of that situation. Banquiqui is lasering Diego on the right side. Ormi wins his lane on the left, and he hooks up Zemp with that super, who hooks up Banquiqui with the shield. This is looking good for Crumb so far, Panda.
Yeah, they're playing it like a completely different team. I feel like they're completely in tune on what each of the other members are doing, and they know exactly what the other team wants to try to do as well. Sam gets taken out huge as Ormi and Zemp are able to collapse there. Zemp goes in for the hypercharge. He's able to pop it. He's not going for the super just yet. He doesn't need to really go for it, and they are in a pretty decent position, but Sam has taken flight, and this is going to be very interesting in the last few seconds here. Ooh, a kill on a Rafiki is going to be confirmed. Diego Gamer going in. He gets a stun. Zemp is so low. Zemp is still alive with 500 HP. Wow. How was that even what? The aura of Betty.
I don't know how they survived that. They were so close to being able to get that reset. I think 200 HP is all Zemp had on his head, but that's going to be enough to secure the victory. Zemp celebrating with a very well-earned picture of Banny right there. But overall, fantastically played to Crumbs. I love their logo too, by the way. I just have to speak on that. I like teams that bring up their own logos with their funny team names, but that was well played to Crumbs. Very, very well-earned victory over Motomami's. Probably our second upset of the day, so definitely looking good for Crumbs. They're playing together as a team much better than I would have expected, to be honest, Panda.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, congratulations to the boys and Crumbs, because honestly, I did not expect that win. I felt like it was going to be a walk for Motomami's FA, but, you know, they got that dub, and they're showing the naysayers that, you know, they're a team to be contended with, not a team to be written off. So congratulations to them. But we're gonna take a short break of about 3 minutes as we go back to our last two games. I believe the first is going to be Pioneers versus 919. So we'll see you after the short break. Hello, everybody, and welcome to GKR NA 2025. I am your host, Pandacast. Let me see if my volume is okay. I'm your host, Pandacast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. It is what, match number 5 of match day number 1 of phase 2 of GKR 2025 NA. That was a mouthful, let's say, chat. And now we have Pioneers versus 19. But how are you feeling after this long day of casting, Duncan?
It has been indeed a long day of casting, but we've got some great games in, so I can't be too mad about it. We've had a bunch of back and forth games. I mean, it has been a lot of gem grab obviously today, but I mean, it's one of the most electric game modes. We've seen so many exchanges of gems, so many crazy resets that I did not see coming, and I'm expecting more of the same coming up with our next 2 matches. But first, we've got Pioneers, we've got 919. Pioneers is going to be probably the more well-known team, probably the favorite in this matchup. They've got Fade, they've got Tyrant, they've got Zulon. Obviously, Tyrant and Zulon, 2 very, very well-known players, have been to Worlds more than a handful of times. So expecting big things from these guys. They've been here before. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. But on the side of 919, we've got some really good players that are kind of trying to make a name for themselves in the competitive scene. We've got Doodle, Nerf, and Venom. Shout out to Venom, my teammate in the creator tournament. But
Ooh.
I think that there are some solid players. They can definitely be able to cook a little bit hard. And I think that they have a good draft knowledge as well. Doodle was running my drafts for me as well. So an extra shout out to Doodle there. Maybe I got a little bit of love for 919 here, but we're going to be seeing the same 3 gem grab maps that we've seen already. Definitely a lot of options that we could see come down here. Panda, would you be surprised to see maybe a gray?
Nah, that's just too wild of a pick. Can you imagine running gray in the big 2025 in May? That's crazy, bro.
Unbelievable stuff. It's surely they wouldn't run it with a Hank maybe as well, but I'm looking forward. Hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of out there comps. I think that we probably could from the side of 919. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them against a very well established team with Pioneers, so maybe they'll think outside of the box. Maybe they'll go with the current meta, but I feel like there are some options that haven't been super utilized today that could be making an appearance here.
For sure. And I guess I'll say my pick. Yeah, this monster squad of Tyrant, Zulan, and Fade, they've been ever present in monthly finals this year in NA, but they haven't yet managed to take a monthly finals title just yet. They're still a menace, and one that 919 may not be able to handle. But, you know, a squad of youngsters who are trying to break into the scene, it's something which is on brand for NA. We saw that with BC Gaming. I think there's space for more such teams to come out and show us what they're made of. And third-party tournaments such as this one allow teams such as that to flex what they're made of, right? To show us their mettle. So wouldn't be surprised to see something good coming from them, but obviously it's a tall task considering the situation and considering that they are up against El Rey Zulan as they get the first pick Hank. And if you look at the other bands, they're going to be Ash, Chester, Lily, Kenji, Lily, and Lumi, so double Lily bands.
Yeah, Lily does seem to be one of the more banned out brawlers. I mean, obviously she did get a hypercharge, but a little surprised to see her thought of in as high of regards as she is. But we see the first pick coming out rather than going with the gray first and then the Hank later. We're going to see the Hank first this time, followed up by the gray. So both of these brawlers still going to be finding their way into the draft. And we're going to see the Lu come down from 919 as well, likely trying to counter out that Hank a little bit harder right there. So we've got a tank counter. We've got our utility with the teleports of the gray. 919 has a pretty decent start to this comp, likely to add a tank with that last pick as well. But so far, Pioneers only has a tank on their roster, so they're going to have to take a mid here. They're going to have to take a little bit of a tank counter more than likely, but I mean, we'll see what they go with this second pick of the draft right here. It looks like it will be a 8-bit for the mid.
Yeah, I think that this 8-bit works sufficiently well because the threat of a gray pull is obviously omnipresent, considering the fact that you have so many pulls now with the gadget rework. It just makes gray invaluable. Even if they nerf it, it's still gonna be meta because of how many pulls you can go for. And I feel like an 8-bit, with its bulk and the HP that it has and the explosive damage that it can present, the pulls aren't going to be all that debilitating if you are going up against the gray or if you're trying to pull a Hank or an 8-bit. So it's going to be something interesting to see. I feel like obviously the turrets are going to be a little bit of a problem for the 8-bit because the gray is going to be able to pull the turret through the wall. So that's something to think about. But in terms of just the bulk and the damage output here, I feel like the 8-bit's going to really run through the 919.
I think the 8-bit is a pretty solid pick. You can play that turret pretty far back. So I think that this will be able to get value even with the gray pulls. The Tara pick makes a lot of sense as well. Obviously, with the Lu and the gray already being picked, both brawlers that can't pierce. We're going to see 919 go with the Daryl to try to counter that out. We saw how much work Rafiki did by rolling through Tara pulls. So likely 919 is going to be trying to channel their inner Rafiki with that Daryl gameplay right there. But we see two pretty aggressive comps coming down. I mean, the Daryl on the side of 919 versus the Hank on the side of Pioneers. I feel like the Daryl is mostly going to be here to kill anybody except the Hank, though. Obviously, they want the Lu onto the Hank, so it's going to be pretty matchup dependent, in my opinion. We'll see how quick Gray's able to set up those teleporters, but I could definitely see this go in the way of 919 if they get early teleporters set up. But we are going into game number 1. We've got Kansas City Pioneers in blue, and we've got 919 in red.
Let's go Pioneers. I'm not at all biased. Anyway, we're going to go to game number 1 here. Zulan in the mid, peppering some shots onto Nerf, and is getting battered just a little bit against both Venom and Nerf. I feel like he's going to be a little bit of the super farm, right? The fodder, along with obviously Fade. So this is something that I feel like Pioneers need to keep a track of, because you're going to get a lot more of those Lu hypercharges than you would in other matches, just because of the options that you're going up against here.
It looks like Fade knows that he has not yet left his spawn with the Hank, and that's not something we typically see. When we see one of these pro players rocking the Hank, they're usually just trying to get up into the spawn, trying to cause as much pressure as possible, but Fade just looks like he does not want to feed right here. And with the gems tied up 5-4 now for the side of the Pioneers, it seems like they're going to be okay with that. Fade is finally making his move up, but Doodle is also up pretty high. Tyrant tanks the Gray Hook with the Tara pets, and we have not really seen either team go for a crazy play up, but the bubble from Fade connects, and that's going to be a pretty big kill. Doodle's rolling in now to try to clean that up. Ooh. But overall, we are going to see a gem lead for the side of the Pioneers.
Indeed, and I think that, you know, they're trying to bait the Hank pick, right? I feel like if you get the Gray, then you obviously want to ensure that you separate the Hank from the Gray. And once you do that, you're basically going to have to play the Hank by itself. And Hank is a great brawler, but I feel like without the Gray, it's not as potent or as lethal. So you kind of are in a situation where you might be at a sort of disadvantage if you play that Hank pick here. And once more, we see Doodle going in. He gets those double rolls, not able to find a kill just yet, but has caused enough chaos to ensure that the gem line is more or less even between these teams.
Yep, Zulan's going to be trying to make a play for that, but he has to watch his step. Obviously, Venom could hook him at any moment. It's not ideal for 919 that they have the gem split up here, because Nerf does have to survive. Also, they cannot fully back off yet, but Nerf's going to go pretty weak. Zulan's getting a very aggressive turret up here, and we're going to need to see 919 make a play here pretty soon, because that gem is going to spawn, and it's going to tie it up. Oh my goodness, Doodle! Oh my god, he got away with it! I can't believe that. What a well-timed roll from Doodle. Absolutely saving the game right there. It looks like the Pioneers had the setup, but Doodle said, not on my watch. He rolls in and rolls out. Absolute broad daylight robbery from Doodle right there. That's the type of plays that they're going to need if they're going to beat Pioneers.
Honestly, that was unprecedented, and I feel like that was a perfect storm of scenarios just coalescing together to give that scenario to happen. And honestly, that micro reaction from Doodle to get that gem and jump out, not many people could pull that off. So that is crazy. Low ping as well, obviously.
Yeah, gotta be the 0 ping Daryl right there, but Doodle is cooking. Tyrant's gonna be trying to get him out of their spawn for now. Zulan has an early turret up already. Definitely a good look for the Pioneers, but Doodle is distracting. He's doing his job right here as the tank player. He is finally gonna be pinched out by Zulan and Tyrant. Fade not really cooking too much over here in the middle, though. They do feed the Gray a teleporter, so Venom's likely going to be setting that up pretty soon here. Tyrant gets a good pull onto Doodle, though. He has Hypercharge online, and he's waiting his moment to go in here. He doesn't even need to use it. He just kind of baits him into waiting for it. Tyrant gets away with that. Now it's just Nerf left on his own, but this is looking pretty rough so far, but good teleport from Venom.
Indeed, Zulan getting out of there with his gadget also was very important. Otherwise, he might be taken out in that scenario. He gets a kill onto Doodle, but his teammate Fade falls by the wayside to Venom here. Venom does have a hypercharge that he could use to set up portals on the mid here. And obviously, that's going to be great for them, but probably not the best situation. Ooh, big super coming in. Nerf gets taken out by Tyrant. And we're just seeing not Motobound. He's 919 completely out of sorts here against this KCP side.
Yeah, they're going to have to get a kill onto Zulan or Tyrant right here. 919's not looking like they're in a good spot. Doodle might have to be the hero again, but he has no role online as of right now. and it's looking like this is probably going to be game over for the side of Pioneers. Indeed, it is. They got a teleport in there, but a little bit too late. So not really a whole lot to speak about as far as reset potential there. We
Hmm.
see Fade there. We see Zulon chilling
Ooh,
with his little beautiful art in the background. You love to see it,
that's
but
so
we're tied up at
cool.
1-1.
I mean, I'm just saying this. I like this because not a lot of content creators put their fan art of their, I mean, their fans' fan art in the back. So I like the fact that Zulan is acknowledging his fans. So kudos there, man.
Yep, love to see it. Pretty adorable stuff going on from the side of Zulon right there. But getting into game number 3, this is our set point right now. Zulon's going to be playing a little bit of lane action here as Fade and Tyrant switch lanes. But Venom does have 2 gems on the head. He hits some good taps right there. And he looks like he wants to grab these gems and get out. Fade does hit a bubble, but it's not going to be enough to discourage the teleport. Doodle hitting them with the hee 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 ha. But that's really all I got to say for now. Venom is going to have 6 gems on the head. This is a great start for 919.
Indeed, I think that they couldn't ask for a better start at all. Honestly, 6-1 in terms of gem line. Now Fade going to go in. Nice rolls coming in from Doodle. He tries to go on to Zulan, but Zulan uses his teleport to get out of that situation. Doodle gets taken out by Zulan, along with a little bit of help from Fade. Now Zulan given the license to move up to the mid, get a few more gems to his name and to the team's coffers in this scenario. On the right-hand side, we have Tyrant going up against Doodle, trying to farm his super, very close to gravity, but Venom does have his own super, might be close to getting his hypercharge. He does get his hypercharge, gets taken out himself. There is a gravity from Tyrant, then I feel like that is used specifically to give him a little bit more survivability. Venom going in, but now we see Doodle as well, going to be rolling in here onto Zulan, gets the reset. They're able to get the gems and are able to get out here. No, Doodle actually splits himself away from Venom. That's going to give all of the gems to... What the hell just happened? That was a pull from Gray. Fade's still alive very much in that scenario. Pioneer's still alive with 10 seconds left and all the gems in hand. The gems, though, are still split between Fade and Tyrant. Big rolls coming in from Doodle. He tries to find one. He's not able to find either. And that is going to be game number 1. Set number 1 going by way of Kansas City Pioneers.
There looked like there were so many chances for 919 to maybe get away with a couple of those gems, but that huge bubble from Fade was able to split up Venom and Doodle, not letting both of them get out of that situation unscathed. Doodle had a couple of chances to roll in and get the kill there, but they were able to commit 3 players to him. Unfortunately, just a little bit too little too late, but pretty electric game. 919 definitely hung in there. As being the underdogs here, I think they put up a very impressive performance. So definitely nothing to shake your head at so far. Pioneers, although they are going to be up 1 set, they can't be feeling like they absolutely walked over them there. I feel like this definitely could go anybody's way as we get into game number 2 on Double Swoosh.
Yeah, seeing these games, I've realized that NA is a lot closer than I thought it was. I felt like a lot of the teams were just like out and out above the rest of the competition, but seeing how close a lot of these matches are going down in the wire, I think I've misjudged a lot of how close and competitive NA can possibly get. So it's opened my eyes for sure as we go into Double Swoosh.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you, Panda Man. NA, dude, anything can happen in NA. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day, except for me and my team beating a pro team in a match arena. That's out of the question. But either way, these guys are all a lot better, so they can definitely hang. I'm looking forward to see what type of comp 919 is going to pull out here. I liked their strategy quite a fair amount, but for the second time today, we saw the Lou not be the most successful. I feel like he does have a little bit of a hard time shooting around some of these walls here. I feel like a little bit of a more open map could do a little bit of justice for the Lou, but either way, moving into Double Swoosh, going to be a lot of grass, going to be a lot of aggro, probably going to be a gray on the field if I had to guess. So a lot of different options that these teams could go with, but 919's got to cook a diabolical comp here to stop Pioneers from sweeping them.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything that you said. We're going to go into our draft here on Double Swoosh. Lumi, Chester, Kenji, Buster, Terra, and Chester are going to be the bans. Double Chester bans imply that one more brawler is going to be able to be used. One thing to note is that the latest brawler is not available, so we don't have Jae Young available in this tournament, so it's global ban for day 1. We will see it in future match days of the tournament, so unless it's banned out or, you know, not picked at all. But Lily is going to be the first pick for 919. I don't think you can go wrong with Lily on map like this because, you know, the sneaky potential is so high. Janet's going to be coming out for Pioneers. I feel like this is one of the most viable maps for Janet. I feel like most other maps aren't as great, so not surprised to see Janet. Though I should say that Amber hasn't been banned and neither team opting for it is a little confusing considering the map we're on.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the Amber could be a pretty diabolical pick here, and we do indeed see it come in. I was wondering if we wouldn't see it, maybe because they're scared, because Amber doesn't have the best like close range damage to be able to deal with a Lily teleport. But overall, I do think that Amber is going to do them justice here. The Janet as well, one of the best brawlers for scouting. Amber, obviously, the best brawler for burning those bushes down. So trying to take away a little bit of the sneak ability that the Lily has to offer. I still do like the idea from 919. I think that they know that they need to go with a little bit more out there comps, a little bit more aggressive comps, and they're going to add another aggressive brawler here with the Carl. So they've got two brawlers that can kind of be assassins in their own right there. I feel like they're going to be trying to go for some of these last second gem resets right here with the comp they've got cooked. We'll see what they go with the last pick, maybe a little bit more of a safe option, but somehow we have seen Gray not get banned and still not get picked here. This might be our first time in the day seeing Gray escape the ban and draft stage as we see a bow come off the board for 919 as their final pick.
I like a little bit of 99's composition. They're gonna have good lane support, but they're gonna be facing off against hard lanes as well. Pioneers have this last pick here. They could go for Gray. I think that's a pretty decent shout, all things considered. I think that Gusk also might be decent because of the long range that it has. But considering the amount of grass on this map and the walls that exist, probably not the best option. They go for Buzz. I think that Buzz makes a little bit of sense. Amber and Janet can be explosive, but the Buzz is going to be great for interference because whenever Lily goes in is when Buzz goes in on the other side. So they swap their focus in those key moments of gameplay.
Yep, I agree with that. I think Buzz is like the superior Carl counter to pretty much any other brawler in the game. He's able to use that stun so effectively. The Carl super does nothing to a Buzz, so I think that's kind of what they're looking for there. I feel like they do have a good amount of maneuverability to get out of bow mines as well, but we are all racked up, guys, going into set number 2 between Pioneers and 919. We have Pioneers with a 1-0 set lead. We see Venom going in on the right side with his invisibility. Okay, we're back. And now Fade is going to be beefing with Nerf on the left side of the map. Not going to be able to get that kill. They do end up trading out right there. Zulon's going to have 4 gems on his Janet, but he's going to have to retreat for now. But a pretty solid gem lead for Pioneers.
Ooh, nice kill from Venom. He almost gets the kill on a Zulan as well. Zulan playing a little bit gingerly in that scenario as a result. But great start coming in for Kansas City Pioneers here. They are up 6 gems to 0. Gets the 7th, but Fade picks it up, unfortunately. Goes for the stun, is able to get the stun off, a second one as well on a Nerf, but the help from Dude allows Nerf to get the better in that interaction, though Zulan's going to be in a very awkward position, might be taken out, dodges those shots regardless, and another stun from Fade.
Yeah, Nerf had to hit that one. That would have been a big kill right there if he was able to take Zulon out. But now they've got the gems where they want them. Fade is obviously no longer in possession of any of that. Zulon has 7 on his head. There still has not been a single gem picked up from 919, but Venom's going to clean up Tyrant over there. There's a lot of bow mines sitting on the zone right now, so going to be pretty difficult to push into. We do see Doodle trying to hold his own right now, and I just can't really tell why they aren't going for any of these gems at this point. That's going to be a stun coming in from Fade. And it looks like Fade's going to be comfortable picking up these last couple of gems. He's going to get that kill. But Zulon gets hypercharged. Venom's going to get that kill. Another one. And it's not going to be enough for 919 to get a countdown or anything. But still a fantastic reset. That's exactly what they needed.
That was crazy. Oh, Tyrant is able to find the kill along with the help of Zulon under Nerf. That's going to be huge. And going to give them the lead once more. It was looking quite suspect after Tyrant got that one hypercharge. They're not Tyrant. But the Lily got that one hypercharge. Nerf going to be taken down. Countdown is going to start for Kansas City Pioneers. Venom going to get stunned once more by Fade, but uses the gadget to get out of that situation there. Fade using his hypercharge here. He gets a stun off on a Venom. Keeps him at bay just long enough to give his team the dub here. And that's going to be, what, game number 1?
Yep, that's going to be match point for Pioneers. They just need one more to be able to sweep 919 right here. Even though 919 has been playing pretty well, making some pretty crazy plays to keep it a close one, it does seem like KCP has the advantage here. They've been playing a little bit cleaner, but overall, this has been a pretty electric set so far. I thought Venom might have been able to get away with that. That would have been pretty electric if the Lily play ended up working out, but we are all racked up for our match point right here. Venom has snuck into that right bush, but not going to be able to get too much done right there. We finally see 919 picking up some gems. Didn't see a whole lot of that until the end of last game. Tyrant's doing all he can to bully Venom out of here. With the help of Zulon, should be able to finish off that pinch, but the bow mines are active. Going to be the grass destroyed for Zulon, so not really ideal hiding situations for him, but Fade's going to connect that onto Nerf. That might be a kill right there, and Zulon's going to be able to grab those too.
Ooh, big kills. Oh, Zulan able to finish off Venom. That is huge, in fact, for the side of KCP. They are up 6 gems to 0, but Venom has a super, so always keep your eyes on Venom once he gets the hypercharge as well. There are going to be some hypercharge mines on the left-hand side. Stun coming in from Fade. Ooh, Zulan just disengaging some of the mines on the left-hand side, but has to be careful. Doesn't want to feed Nerf more value than is expected as Venom goes up against Tyrant. Should get the better of Tyrant. Venom also has a hypercharge. That is something to think about, and he uses his super to get out of that situation. Nope, he gets taken out himself, as does Fade. It's going to be a 7-3 gem line.
Yeah, lots of kills going down here, but the only one that matters really is going to be Zulan right here, who's still sitting pretty with his 7 gems. Tyrant adds 1 to the count as well, so only 2 more gems needed for Pioneers to initiate this countdown. But the bow mines just keep on coming. They're just absolutely peppering them with the bow mines right now, making their life pretty hard. Venom's doing what he can here. He's going to avoid that stun with a gadget of his own. But either way, Fade is still going to be in his face right there. Venom does kind of come out on top there, but Doodle's going to go down. That's going to be 8 gems on Zulan, 2 on Tyrant. Zulan should fly out of here, but Nerf is going to have to go for a kill on Tyrant here, I believe. And he does connect the fire. Is that going to be enough to get the kill? He gets a follow-up just in case it wasn't. So we do see 10 sitting on Zulan now. This is going to be a tall task for 919 to reset.
Indeed, especially with Tyrant already having a super ready unlocked. There is a trade. I feel like that actually favors 9-9 a little bit more. Ooh, Nerf going in, gets taken out. Nice stun coming in from Fade. Misses the second hook, but I don't think it matters as this game is going to go by the way of Kansas City Pioneers. They take this dub, they take this win, and they are up 2-0 against 919 in a clean sweep.
Yep, very clean sweep coming out from Pioneers. I feel like they definitely played really well. The only game that they dropped was that one where Doodle rolled in at the exact perfect moment to snag that gem away, but very clean from Pioneers. I feel like 919 can be proud of themselves for that performance, though. Obviously, a little bit of an underdog there. They still put up a fantastic fight. Definitely had some pretty off-meta, or not even off-meta picks, but some crazier picks that were able to kind of shake things up a little bit. But overall, Pioneers just kind of played it a little bit more clean. They kept the gems on their gem carrier. They were able to get away with their life when they needed to. So a well-earned victory goes to Pioneers. They're going to be our 5th team to move up to 1-0.
Indeed, congratulations to Kansas City Pioneers. We're going to take a short break once more before we get into our last game of the day. And that's going to be the one which I think a lot of people are waiting for. It's going to be Tribe Gaming versus Code OG. That's the last one. So we'll see you in 3 minutes after this break.
Looks like my dad's here too.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR 2025 NA Brawl Stars Circuit. It is match day number 1 of the league phase of this tournament. We have finished 5 of our matches for today. It's going to be match number 6 now, and one of the most anticipated ones is going to be Tribe Gaming versus Code OG. I don't know if you know about Tribe Gaming. This is a very unknown squad, and probably never heard of them. We have RBM, Luffy, Zeus, not really a team of repute, and Charles OG in second best, who are probably the best players ever. Anyway, I joke. Tribe Gaming have yet to lose a single match this year and are showing no signs of slowing down. They dominated every single team and are looking to do that to Code OG today. Though, you gotta respect the Unk and his team, though. They've been at every monthly finals this year, despite some people writing them off, and they have been perennial. They have had perennial appearances at World Finals and LCQ and other blue chip international events. So not a team to be written off against this Tribe Gaming side. Though I have to say, Tribe Gaming checks all of the boxes, from drafting to the team play to the individual brilliance of each of these players. I do not think this team can be compared to right now in this region.
No, it's going to be hard to make that argument. Tribe has been an absolute juggernaut throughout our entire season of esports so far. Nobody's really been able to get the best of them, but if anybody can, it might be Code OG. I think this is our only matchup today of 2 teams that have qualified for every monthly final, so probably our heaviest hitting matchup of the day. Of course, we had to save it for last for that very reason, but we've got Tribe with RBM, Luffy, Zeus, Code OG with Charles OG second best. All 6 players have definitely been through their fair share of tournaments, been through their fair share of BSC gameplay, so I'm expecting big things from these 2 teams. These are guys who have seen the biggest stages and have been able to kind of stay locked in even when the stakes are at their highest. So for a silly little day 1 of GKR, I'm sure that it's going to be nothing to these absolute juggernauts right here. Expecting some locked in, dialed in gameplay from both of these rosters right here. But Code OG's got their work cut out for them, man. Nobody's really been able to get the best of Tribe in this entire year.
But just looking at the historicity, right? Tribe Gaming, this roster, RBM, Luffy, Zeus, they've been going from strength to strength. They started off as a like a smaller team of individual players. They were winning small third-party tournaments. Slowly but surely, they were getting up as a team of repute, winning smaller or slightly larger tournaments, maybe a few blue chip match arenas or whatnot. Slowly moving on to winning monthly finals, getting huge positions in monthly finals as well, then making it to world finals and LCQ. So you see the slight progression over time, and now they've reached a point where they have identified every single deficiency and solved for it, which is why they're so dominant in every single aspect of the game. Whereas if you see their competition, they have had their zeniths previously in yesteryear, so they aren't the same sort of players that you expect them to be anymore, and they're going up against the Tribe Gaming side, which is probably one of the best teams in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's excited to see how they do in Brawl Cup. They have yet to really be challenged all that hard so far in their own region, so going to be exciting to see how they do against some of the other good teams, including SK and Humble, who we are very well familiar with at this point. But that's something that we can look forward to in the future. But what we've got right ahead of us could also very well be a banger. I do think that the best of 3 format does have to be probably looked at pretty positively from Code OG. I mean, they only have to win 2 singular sets. It's not like they have to take them all the way to 5. So definitely could be a little bit of an advantage there. I guess a little bit like the more, what's the word I'm looking for? The more versatility that I guess is going to be like in the match, I think the better it's going to be for Code OG. You don't want to let Tribe be where they're comfortable. So if they're able to like get a kind of cheeky comp and like steal a game in the first set, it definitely could put Tribe on their toes. I mean, you only need 4 game wins to be able to take Tribe Gaming down. So I think that's what Code OG's mindset has to be, but it's a tall task ahead of them, man. Tribe Gaming has not been stopped yet.
Indeed. I mean, this team is so adaptable and versatile. They are able to play a plethora of different compositions. So they don't just have one game plan in mind. They have multiple ideas. So that's why they're able to rule the roost. Not only do they usually get drafted, but even when they get out drafted, which is rare actually for them this year, they're able to still come out on top against some of the more respected teams in NA. And I just think that's something to be, very concerned about if you're any other team, because if you're losing while having draft against Tribe, then it's not a good look. It's not a good look at
Yeah, I
all.
mean, you wouldn't be the first team to lose in that situation, although Tribe is known for their amazing drafts with a killer running the drafts for them. It's definitely been an advantage that they've held on to, but it's not like it's just the drafts that carry them. It's not like it's just the gameplay that carries them. It's kind of a combination of all of those things. And
Mm.
so far, it's been the perfect recipe to be the absolute juggernaut of the North American region. But I mean, like I said, in a best of three, it could definitely go either way. Hopefully, we'll be able to see a little bit of action going down here. But expecting big things from Code OG. If anybody's going to be able to take down Tribe, why not Code OG?
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. They've demonstrated the success in the past. They've demonstrated how good that they are. Like, you had Charles and Luminosity, who was cooking OG and Stamina and Foot, second best originally in, what was it, IX, and then Tempo Storm for a little bit there, and Kansas City Pioneers. I mean, these guys are star-studded players who played with some of the best teams in the world, and they've also taken the world champions of certain teams to set number 5. I remember what Luminosity versus Zeta Division 2 years ago, where
Yeah.
Charles was, unfortunately did take the L against them, but that went to set number 5, and it seemed like Luminosity were going to win that. So what I mean to say is that these players have performed at that level, which requires you to be, keyed in and locked in, and they've shown us what they're made of. So I'm not going to be surprised if they beat Tribe, but it's probably not an expected result.
I would be lying if I said I wouldn't have put my money on Tribe if I was a gambling man right here. But either way, I mean, something else to think about is that we have seen 5 matches already on these same maps. So a lot of drafts that they've been able to look at. Maybe they'll be able to kind of formulate a strategy around something they've seen another team pull off. Probably unlikely to see the crab again, but something like that. I mean, we've seen some Rosa strats, we've seen some crab strats, we've seen plenty of gray strats. But either way, I think that getting like a little bit of an early look at some of these games could provide a little bit of a drafting advantage. Maybe some teams will change up their strategies, but more or less, I'm expecting a lot of the same. I'm expecting some gray, maybe a little bit of gray Hank, probably a good amount of Janet as well, maybe some Gus, but I think that we'll probably see a lot of these really good gem grab brawlers show their face once more.
Yeah, I mean, we're still waiting for them to get into draft here, and it's going to be the same 3 maps that we've had for the rest of the tournament, which is Hard Rock Mine, Double Swoosh, and Last Stop. Day one's going to be only gem grab. So if you're joining us this late in the day, that's going to be the agenda for today's maps. We're just waiting for them to get into lobbies and get started with the draft. And yeah, I think I've reached the point where I've ran out of stuff to yap about, Duncan.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, this is gonna be our 6th time talking about Hard Rock Mine. It's getting a little old, man. I'm gonna see a gray. I'm sure Lumi's gonna be banned. I'm sure Kenji and Lily are gonna be banned. Just some things that I can be certain about right here. But I think that I don't even know, man. Let's just get into the draft, please.
Yeah, but I'm interested in seeing how this one plays. I do like the evolution of how Gray and Hank are so coupled together. It's reached a point where you need to separate them, and if you get the Hank instead of the Gray, you're kind of at like a slight disadvantage because it's not seamless, right? If you have the Hank with the Hank becomes seamless in terms of usage. It removes a lot of the issues of the Hank, where Hank needs to charge up to be able to hit your shots, but here you can just like use the portals to get in. So I think that we're seeing something different coming out from NA, and I like the flexibility of the draft, though it still has to be a lot cleaner, right?
Yeah, I think that we're gonna have to see some really clean gameplay from Code OG. I mean, either they're gonna have to just play perfectly and make no mistakes, or they're gonna have to go with a crazy draft that can maybe catch Tri Black in. Not really too sure which route they're gonna take. I mean, Code OG has been known for some pretty sus drafts in the past. Maybe they'll even throw second best on the Melody to mix things up, but I feel like that's kind of the only thing that I have in mind for how they can kind of throw a curveball Tribe's way. If they're just kind of matched up evenly, I feel like you got to give the advantage to Tribe there. They've definitely been winning every matchup where the draft is either in their favor. They're really good at not dropping sets they aren't supposed to lose, kind of similar to SK and Humble and EU in that manner. But finally, we're getting into our draft right here. We've got the bans in, and Tribe is going to ban Doug, Dynamite, and Jackie. Definitely have a lot of questions about that, but Code OG with some more serious bans, Gray, Ash, and Chester. But because of these goofy odd bans from Tribe Gaming, we're gonna have Lily open, we're gonna have Kenji open, we're gonna have Lumi open. So maybe
Ooh.
a strategy, maybe they're goofing around. Also, it looks like OG is getting kit supered.
Yes, that is true, and but I do like the Tick Shuki sorry, this Shuki plushie which Zeus has. It looks so cute. Look at this little mouth, this little tooth over there, and it literally coming out for Tribe Gaming, and yeah, you can't go wrong with Lily. But I think that these bans from Tribe are really interesting because obviously that's just kept a lot of the more serious brawlers in contention here. Obviously, the Kenji being the first pick is emblematic of that. Gus going to be brought out by Tribe Gaming as their second, with Code OG having 25 seconds to lock in their own second. But I like the Gus. I think Gus can cook. But considering that it's going to go up against the Kenji, I'm not that confident. It really depends on this third and last pick for Tribe Gaming for me to be confident. And already it's not looking that good. They have a Hank along with a Kenji for Code OG, and they could just pair that up with a healer or something.
Yeah, I like this comp from Code OG a lot. It seems like even if Tribe is trolling with the bans, they are locked in with the draft. Lily Gus seems like a pretty serious draft so far, but those bans, I mean, OG's got to take that as disrespect so far. They get the RT to round out their comp. So it's definitely a little bit of an off meta pick for the mid here, but I mean, considering they've got a Lily on the board already, it makes a lot of sense. You don't want to be that gem carrier that gets assassinated by the Lily, and RT is probably the best equipped outside of maybe an 8-bit to deal with that. So I think it makes sense. The Hank and the Kenji are going to be very, very oppressive. And it looks like we're going to see a buzz come down from Tribe Gaming. So not my favorite draft in the world from Tribe. Maybe getting a little bit too big for their britches here with the bans being a little bit unserious. But I don't really hate either comp here. I feel like I can see a way that both teams win, but it's going to be a lot of kills, a lot of gem exchanges, I have to assume. I mean, we've got two assassins versus a tank and an assassin, and we see OG with his cat super. Love to see it. Very adorable stuff right
So
there.
cute.
It's got to be hard to focus, though. I can't lie.
Yeah, that's for sure. Charles just aura farming at this point here. Just look at him.
Looking pretty sick with the jewelry right there, but we're finally getting into the game here. Luffy's moving up the left side with that gadget. OG is ready for it, gets a big bubble onto his face. It looks like Charles is going to have super online already, likely rocking that gadget that lets him get it for free. He does get the kill, but his butt is going to be exposed right here, and Zeus is going to take his time taking that down. Luffy's doing some good work here on the second as well, somehow able to get away with that. We are going to see 5 gems in this hand of Tribe right now. It seems like they don't need bans in order to win so far, but OG is starting to get that fish super rolling. RBM's going to go in for the assassination. Great start for Tribe.
Dude, RBM is just so... Oh my god, the glaze is going to be coming out. He is so good at tanks. He's so good at aggro. He is insane. Just look at him in the left lane. He just got those 2 kills like it meant almost nothing to him.
RBM is absolutely going ham right now. He's going to be able to barely survive this interaction, but we see Charles is just completely abandoning his role as the gem carrier. He said, I'm going to be Jackie for the rest of this game, and honestly, I respect it. I mean, down 7-1, it's not looking the best for them, so he's going to go in. He's going to get some good damage there, maybe able to kill RBM with the help of OG, but not going to happen yet. Second, I believe, has a hypercharge online once he finally does respawn here, but Luffy's going to be spawning in a difficult position. And he is indeed going to go down right there. We have 8 gems. OG does hit the fish snipe, but here comes second. This is the play to watch, Panda.
Indeed, RBM has his super here, and gotta be careful though. Second with his hypercharge might be something that we have to contend with. A kill on RBM or Zeus is basically what they need. A big super coming in, a stun as well. RBM gets a kill on us a second, and that is going to be huge. And now Charles trying to find and hunt down RBM, but that's not going to be the case, and that is going to be game number 1 for Tribe Gaming as they sauce out that spree.
Yep, that was a pretty clean game overall. I mean, I didn't hate the RT mid strategy, but it seems like they kind of abandoned it pretty early. Second, not even being able to use his hypercharge there is absolutely devastating stuff for them. I think Code OG needs a very valid second hypercharge in order to be able to win this game. They didn't get it in game number 1, but they might be able to get it in game number 2. Hopefully they mix up the strats a little bit, but they got a good tap with Charles on Zeus off rip right here. Second's going to be going in, trying to farm off Luffy right here. Going to be interesting to see who comes out on top of that. Expecting Luffy too, and indeed he does. RBM goes in on OG as well. He gets his second stun, but OG still escapes that. And once he gets that super cycle rolling, it might be pretty hard for the Buzz to be able to kill him easily.
Ooh, crazy here. Big super coming in from Kenji, not able to find all that value, but a kill on a Luffy is going to be huge. Zeus is going to be very low, not using that gadget to get the kill. I think that they would just rather he take his time to regen and come back in the mix of things here. Super being used by Second. He misses his super all together. RBM gets a stun, and Second gets dispatched. Hypercharge being popped by Luffy, finds a kill on a Charles. He tries to get the something on an OG, but OG with his super just puts him under 6 feet.
Yeah, well played by OG to keep them in this game, but still not looking great for Code OG so far. RBM is going to continue to do work, but the Hypercharge is active from Second. That's exactly what they needed. He is going to not be able to kill Zeus, surviving on 100 HP back there, but it looks like Charles has the setup here. OG has transitioned into the gem carrier for the time being. Charles is just going to be kind of chilling here with his lower half. Not able to do a whole lot about it right now. Luffy's trying to kill him, and indeed he does. But OG pops that Hypercharge for the speed. He's going to be able to get that kill. The Hypercharge not really going to connect to anybody. Second is going to be sitting on a gem, trying to get a little bit of positioning. But here comes RBM's Hypercharge. Is he going to be able to get to... Oh my goodness, how does he do it, man? He is so different on tanks. It's actually ridiculous. That's going to be another game for Tribe Gaming, more than likely.
I have never seen a player with this level of game sense, specifically tank game sense, and it's kind of crazy how good he is there. He's gonna go up against OG here, should be able to find the kill without OG realizing, but it's not gonna matter. Tribe Gaming really uncontested, get this first set, lock it down with 2 straight game wins.
Yeah, that's very well played by Tribe. They don't need bans to still get a W. I mean,
like
it seems
shirt.
like
that
they were
hoodie's
quite
cool.
comfortable right there. I do like that hoodie there. The gaming position is kind of crazy work too. I miss being flexible enough to game like that.
Bro's talking like he's an unk, bro.
I'm an unk. If you guys are all gonna call me an unk,
Have you seen the white beard, bro? How are you an unk?
hey chat, what do you guys think about my beard? Let's all comment on my beard next time I get shown on screen. But Tribe, man, a little bit of disrespect with the bans there, but it's not going to bite them in the butt yet. They walk away with a game number 1 victory kind of easily. I hate to say it, but Code OG is going to have to play better than that if they want to face off against Tribe. It's looking like it's Tribe's game to lose from now on. But we've got Double Swoosh coming up. Pretty grassy map, pretty hectic map. Anything can happen, but I mean, it just seems like Tribe can't be stopped.
Yeah, they seem indomitable. It feels like whatever you throw at them really doesn't stick. I mean, at this point, all the teams in NA are just throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it sticks. But, you know, Tribe Gaming is just kind of undefeatable, invincible at this point here.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't found somebody who can beat them yet. I might be looking all day if that's my task. But, I mean, they've still got to win one more. It's never over till it's over. But things can't be looking the best for Code OG after how that first game went. Interesting strategy for Tribe to kind of leave all the best brawlers on the field. Obviously, like, they're gonna give Code OG a free brawler choice with the Kenji there, but seems like they kind of knew that was coming. They were ready for it. They took the Lily, which was a pretty solid counter into it, and obviously RBM on the buzz is a different animal, so I don't know if they're gonna be serious about their bans for set number 2. Maybe they'll do the same thing again, but pretty funny stuff going down. Can't even hate on it too hard. I mean, they won the game, didn't they?
I mean, maybe it's just that they practice at the point where even for the broken brawlers right now, they know exactly how to isolate it and make it seem like it's inert and not as useful as you think it is. And bro is just flexing all of his plushies at this point.
Yeah, it looks like OG took the cat off his shoulders. Maybe he's locking in a little bit harder now. The kit super has been disengaged.
Aww.
But we are going to see the bans coming in. Tribe a little bit more serious with the bans, still a little bit off meta, but Crow, Angelo, Byron, Code OG banning out Kenji, Lumi, Lily. So we definitely see one team going a little bit harder on the bans than the other. Tribe with the first pick though, and it's going to be a Chester. So pretty solid option right there. Not surprised to see the best tank counter in the game be drafted. Obviously, Hank and Gray are still available. Wouldn't be surprised to see Code OG go with a tried and true duo of brawlers right there. But, I mean, the Chester probably is going to discourage that a little bit, Panda.
Yeah, for sure. I like this Chester pick. I feel like this is more expected in the wheelhouse of things that you should probably see. Gray's coming out. I feel like this is definitely something with Hank involved here. At least if I think that's what they're cooking. I might be wrong, and they go for Terra instead.
Interesting. I am also surprised to see the Hank not get picked up there. A little bit scared to run the Hank into a Chester. I can't fully disagree with it, but the Tara is a solid option. We've seen her in pretty much every set of Double Swoosh, so I mean, they're definitely going to be wanting to charge up those pulls. Once you get a hypercharge pull, it can definitely be pretty impactful, but I mean, it does take some time to get there. But it's a good matchup into the Chester. The Tara pet should be able to keep him at bay a little bit. We're going to see what Tribe Gaming goes, though. They still
Amber.
need a mid. They still need some aggro. They do grab the Hank, though. I would also agree that Amber is not a horrible option, but taking away the Hank from Code OG makes a good amount of sense. Not the worst option into the Tara, but I mean, overall, I don't really love the draft from Tribe, but I mean, how could I possibly hate on it? They haven't proven me wrong yet.
I feel like it's reached a point, like I said, that if you pick the gray on the other side, you have to pick up the Hank on the other side. Otherwise, you're going to be in a bad spot. I feel like Tribe were probably confused about the Terra pick because they probably expected the Hank to be brought out with the gray, which kind of threw their whole strategy in the state of flux. And Amber is going to be coming out last. I think that Amber is a great pick for Tribe. They have a lot of their bases covered here, but let's see what Code OG have as their last pick to round out their composition. I think it might be a buster just because of how OG and all these guys draft, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Tara is not in the greatest spot right here. Not really a whole lot she can do into an Amber lane. I feel like the Amber vision is going to be very spectacular for the side of Tribe.
Wow.
A Squeak makes a decent amount of sense. It has a good matchup into Chester, has a good matchup into Amber. The one thing about Squeak, though, is it's kind of tough to hit those shots if you don't have visibility over the lane. And with the amount of grass, obviously before Amber gets to burn in that grass, it might be a little bit tricky, but I don't know. I still do think I like this draft for the side of Tribe over OG.
For sure.
But I mean, you never know how it's gonna go. It'd be a pretty foolish decision for me to bet against Tribe at this point, though.
Yeah, I feel like okay, in terms of out and out what is present on the map right now, I would like Tribe Gaming's composition, but the turnaround potential for that Great Terra is just so high that I think it's possible for Code OG if they align all their cards right to get the dub. We're gonna go into game number 1 of the second set between Tribe and Code OG, and since this is a best of 3, this set is all that Tribe Gaming needs to get this win against Code OG here, Duncan.
Yep, we see RBM using his high HP to move up on the left side of the map.
What?
It's going to be very, oh my God, 69 HP. First of all, nice. Second of all, do they have the DPS to be able to take RBM down? I mean, they do eventually, but he's got so much more HP than they can reckon for. Great hook, though. Zeus is going to have to clean that up, but Charles kills him. And now RBM is going to get pulled right here. Code OG's making a stand right here. Charles is going to be able to dip out of there with 5 gems. Massive stuff right there. He's got his TP where he wants him. And Second's going to be able to trade out RBM. So not a bad trade for the side of Code OG. 6 gems on the head. Charles avoids Zeus's fire right there. But it is going to break their grass, so he's not going to be able to do any sneaky TPs anymore.
Indeed, Luffy finally gets his super on this right-hand side. There is a super for Charles. He has a hypercharge as well, but I don't think he has the way to go up into RBM without fear of being taken out. Luffy gets a kill on OG on the left-hand side. Second goes down as well, so it's not looking that great for Code OG as they've completely given control and wrested control of the mid to Tribe Gaming.
Yeah, but I mean, it is an interesting strategy to see RBM carrying the gems right here. Charles teleports in. He hits the hook to cancel the bubble, but RBM pops the shield. He has a super online. You're going to need more than that to take him down on the fish right there. He's got so much survivability with the gadgets, with the supers. But either way, it's going to be 9 gems. Obviously, they are split apart pretty evenly, so not the worst for Code OG. But the Amber hypercharge is the worst for Code OG. It connects onto OG and Charles. That's going to be the 10th gem picked up. They juke out of the Squeak super as well. And now only one of Zeus or Luffy needs to survive. RBM is going to be sitting pretty back here with his full HP. This is looking like it's going to be GG's.
No way. OG just kind of wasted his super like that. There is going to be a hypercharge being popped onto Second, but he knows it's basically over. It is match point for the side of Tribe Gaming. And Zeus might just be asleep.
It seems like they're going to need to be pressed a little bit harder than that for them to even get into their locked in gear right now. It's just kind of looking like this is going to be chalk for Tribe, man. I feel like they're the team to beat. Obviously, it's going to be a tall task for any team to beat them, but I thought Code OG might be able to put up a little bit of a better fight than this. Still not over till it's over, so hopefully we'll be able to see a pretty competitive game number 2 here. Charles does get some good shots off immediately. He's going to have that TP online, and he puts it up a little bit more aggressive this time too, which is definitely a decision. Curious to see how that ends up paying off. But we're going to see Tribe going with the Hank in the mid off rip here. A little bit of a new strategy unlocked right there, but I feel like they know that they just don't have the DPS to take him down.
Indeed, Luna on the Second on the left-hand side gets taken out by RBM, and the inconsistency of Second is really on display here, and unfortunate for the side of Code OG. They are not being able to get back into the mid here, complete control of this mid by Tribe Gaming, and they're showing no signs of letting up here.
Yeah, this is looking like
Wow.
they're in a pretty horrible position there. Luffy is doing so much work.
What?
And the fish snipe from
What?
RBM.
What?
Why not, man? Just why not, RBM? Just keep on sliming him out. He's got 9 gems.
He didn't
He's
even
throwing up a
have to
little
do
spin
it.
right there.
He
He
didn't even,
didn't.
he did it. He was just disrespect. That was just crazy. I respect it, but that was crazy, buddy.
I respect the disrespect. I mean, if you've played as well as RBM plays, you've earned the right to be able to do that. They're going to have 10 gems. Obviously, Luffy picks up the 10th, so still a little bit of reset potential. But even if they do get a reset, I have a hard time seeing how they win this. Charles is going to have to make a crazy play
Oh, that's
here,
how they win
but
this.
If he does, that's a great pull.
What?
And RBM is still going to be able to survive. The Squeak Hyper might be able to get the kill with the... Oh, my goodness. Okay, so that reset is going to come in. I mean, very clutch plays by Charles to be able to get away with that. He does TP out with 7. Wow, it looks like OG might be able to steal one here, Pan.
Oh no, he also managed to avoid the fire as well. Good job by Charles, and a complete disarray from Tribe Gaming. It looks like they had everything from the clutches of victory, from the jaws of victory. They got defeat, and that is unfortunate for them as they were going to take the L here. Unless, oh, there's a reset.
Probably still going to take the L here, but I mean, you never know until it's over. I mean, Luffy's still hanging out on the right side. Not the most utility for the side of Tribe, though. No hyper charges online. If they still had a Chester hyper, I would say maybe, but this is going to be a tall task with 3 seconds left. I think that they're probably safe here. Charles is going to TP up, and that is going to be the first game going into the hands of Code OG. Fantastic job by them not giving up when it looked like all odds were against them. Well played by Charles to be able to hit that crazy pull and teleport combination to get the extra range on the pull. And he grabbed a couple of gems and was able to TP out of there. Charles kind of saved their butts right there, but they got to do it one more time to even make it a tie.
Indeed. I mean, that was already like a grand finals caliber game right there. Hopefully you see some more of that here. You go into game number 3 of the second set, and Tribe Gaming are on match point, and they were on match point the last time around, but they took the L here. And I think we want Code OG, or rather we expect Code OG to get the same result once more if we want a set number 3.
Yep, it looks like they're starting off decently well. I mean, obviously not going to be winning the gem count so far, but OG gets a high residue up there. Going to make RBM and Zeus's life a little bit more difficult, but not difficult enough for him to stay alive. Zeus takes down him easily. Charles misses his hook. And we saw last game, Charles had his portal set up within like the first 20 seconds of action. This game is a different story. He hasn't really got any motion as of right now. RBM is still winning the gem count easily. Zeus kind of pushing up on his own right there. Charles does clean up there, but that is going to be his portal used, and maybe not an ideal location. So not the best of looks, but I mean, as far as the gems go, they have evened it up.
Indeed, RBM just being a nuisance here. He's going to get OG low, allows Zeus to clean him up as well. Second going up against Luffy, gets taken out, but there is a trade nonetheless, but the gravity has been forfeited as a result, and he has to work towards getting it once more. In the mid, though, it's 7-4 gems favoring Tribe Gaming. Hypercharge pop by OG. He should be close to getting his super, but nope, he is not going to be able to do so just there in that interaction. Luffy is going to go up against OG. OG should be able to get the better of him, but gets taken out by RBM, who's going to pick up some more gems, and that is going to be countdown for the side of Tribe Gaming as they've completely decimated Code OG.
That Chester bomb was crazy work, but can they pull it off again? You never know. Charles is still up. He did just use his hook, though, so he's not going to be able to do that again for the rest of this countdown. And that's just going to be second left with a hyper pull. It's got crazy range, but the range isn't that crazy. And as expected, Tribe is going to end up winning 2-0. Fantastic fight from Code OG to make it exciting in our double swoosh set right there. But Zeus is going to be flexing his little plushy buddy right there. And a very well-earned victory from Tribe, man. Who can stop him?
I don't think any team can, because seeing what I saw today, they have they weren't pressured at all. It just felt like they were always in control, always in the driver's seat, and everybody's playing by their playbook. And I feel like right now in NA, Tribe Gaming will not be denied.
They can't be denied, man. I haven't seen anybody deny him yet, but I mean, we see our freaking scoreline after our first 6 games of play. We had SSG losing 1-2 to LLC, Gadget Spam winning 2-1 over FA, STMN sweeping Mori Gaming. Crumbs was able to get a I thought Crumbs won. I think Crumbs won 2-1 over Moto Mommies. Pioneer swept 919, and then Tribe swept Code OG. So we had some pretty competitive games, especially with that SSG LLC one. That was probably our biggest shocker of the day. But here we go. We got our day 2, which is going to be Heist, guys. So we'll get a little bit of some different game modes going live. Obviously, with that Heist change too, there's going to be a lot to consider right here. So Panda, what are you expecting with day 2?
I don't know. I expect more chaos, more anarchy. I want to see how close some of the games are. Teams that I'm looking out for specifically, LSC Esports NA, were looking quite good today. I was quite surprised with their result here, 22-1 against Space Station Gaming. And yes, obviously, Smilk, our sponsor. Please, thank you to Smilk for sponsoring this event. If you're in the market and for protein shakes and you are specifically in Spain, please look at Smilk. It might be an option for you for your nutrition needs and requirements. Anyway, going back to what I say, we did have some crazy games today. I have to say, and I have to mention, LC Esports is a team that I have to look out for going forward because they perform really well
Yep.
today. Gadget Spam as well. It's a new team being formed right now. It seems like Patchy and Vegeta are playing together. Alianis is playing with them right now, but might not be a permanent fixture for them. So that's another team that I'm going to be looking at. FA, obviously, because of the shakeup. Juan Carlos and Zar have split from his Levy, and I believe Zar is also going to be in the Brawl Cup. He's going to be playing with Revenant Spark, since I believe Sergeant Clash didn't get his visa, so he's going to be a sub in for that. And some other teams looking at that I want to look at would be Motomami's FA and Crumbs. Motomami specifically are Rafiki, Dio Gamer, and Sam. They're so good today, but they lost to Crumbs, obviously. So these are some of the less teams of repute that you should probably look out for if you're looking for any competitive going forward.
I would say so too. I mean, I feel like there were a lot of really close games besides like Tribe and Pioneers kind of winning easily. I feel like there was a lot of pretty competitive parity across the board here. STMN cleaned up business as well, but I feel like it could be anybody's game for anybody who's not playing against a team called Tribe Gaming. So looking forward to some banger matchups in game two. Or in day two. Obviously, Heist is definitely going to bring its own slew of challenges with the Heist rework. It's going to be a little bit of a different meta than a lot of these people are used to. So, got a lot to look forward to. But thank you guys so much for joining us during day one here.
Yeah, thank you to you guys for showing up, the players for participating, and obviously the people working behind the scenes, because you guys get to see all this amazing production, but a lot of the work happens behind the scenes, and without them, this wouldn't be possible as a tournament and as a production and as an entertainment event for you guys. So thank you so much to the production and the admin team working behind the scenes. I also have to mention that tomorrow, Duncan and I are going to be casting another tournament. I can't say the name, obviously, but it's scheduled on the live feed. So if you're looking forward to seeing some more EMEA action and the esports and whatnot, please join in tomorrow for some more Duncan and Pen dynamic duo action, the double unks, I would say. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. And any last words, Duncan?
Nah, it seems like you're finally admitting that I'm an unk, though. I don't even know if I want to beat the unk allegations or just accept it at this point. But I'll have to work on growing out the beard for next time. I got to be able to hang with you and Zemp. But either way, Panda, thanks again for having me, man. Thanks again for the players for putting up some absolute banger performances today, and as well to the production team. Had a great time, though. Looking forward to being back for day two.
See you guys.